Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night. Tonight, we give you coverage of the ISRC Letter Yard Productions Truck Series Season 7 playoff racing action. As the drivers entered into the chase 3 races ago, we find ourselves at the halfway marker, and it's your final chance for some to make the march for a championship. For others, it's a time to capitalize on the gains that you've made last week. And for one, it's to solidify an opportunity to go 3 in a row. Tonight is race number 4 of 6 in this chase, as we are tackling Las Vegas for the ISRC Truck Series drivers. This season, it's had its ups, it's had its downs, it's had some dominant drivers to watch out for, but this evening, at a track that's so well known for this series, drama is always around the corner. You do not want to miss this one. It's going to be a fun one. And again, we are excited to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer, and joining me up in the booth, as always, on Monday night, I've got Zach Hall with me. And Zach, I mean, we just came off of Sonoma. Vincent Sora did everything in his power to cut down the difference of a gap that looked like it was impossible to trim down. He's done so with his win last week. We're now entering a track where Vinny's seen success. He's also seen some woes, and same for John Forbes.
That's for sure. This place is seeing a lot of misfortune and a lot of good fortune for people, and I think that's just due to Vegas. Sometimes it just seems like this place is known for gambling, so it is very much on the line all the time. And with 3 races to go, no better place here in Las Vegas to put it all on the line for a championship. So I'm very, very interested to see how it plays out tonight, because like you said, we saw that win with Vincent Sora at Sonoma just last week, and it really shifted the points to a point where we didn't think it was going to be as close as it was. And it just shows you again, winning those races, getting that 10 valuable bonus points that comes along with a win can take you very far places. So I think if you're Vincent Sora, John Forbes, you're looking to go out here and win tonight. And if you're a driver underneath them in the points, you're of course looking to stop them from winning, because you don't want to see that gap growing anymore.
Yeah, that gap is something that we've seen ebb and flow. John Forbes, at one moment entering last week, had the gap up to 33 points over Vincent Sora and Nick Crawford. Both those drivers have trimmed it down just slightly, but tonight going to be a big race for all drivers. But Las Vegas this evening is probably going to be the toughest race for all drivers. The reason why? The track is cold. It is not hot. These tire wear could be something to watch out for. But Zach, the draft, everyone's talking about the draft, netcode, the 2 big factors of this evening to watch for here early.
That is for sure, Sam. This place, in Las Vegas, we see it in the other race cars. You can spread out. You can get kind of away from your competition as the run starts to go on. But here tonight with these trucks, I think you're going to see pretty much bumper to bumper traffic for majority of the run. It will probably start to separate a little bit as the fuel load starts to dwindle away, but I think you're going to see majority of the contenders sticking to each other throughout the green flag conditions. So I don't think nothing is going to be a guarantee tonight. I think it's going to be all on the line, all the way down from that green flag down to the white flag, and of course to the checker flag, to see who's going to win this event here tonight.
Well, Las Vegas in the past, qualifying has been a factor of, if you want to win, you don't want the pole. The past year in the ISRC Truck Series have ran here 5 times in the past. The only season they did not run here was back in season 4. But every season that you've ran here at Las Vegas, the pole sitter does not win the race. You've seen some drivers have led the most laps and gotten to victory lane. We've seen drivers in the past lead just that one and final lap to go into victory lane. Here tonight, qualifying is going to be just as important as drivers are hitting the course. We'll see who's aiming for that top spot, or some trying to stay away from the superstitions and trying to get behind that pole sitter award. Driver who's back, we haven't seen for a bit, but he's back after his win from 3 weeks ago at Talladega. We got the Brown crew of Joshua Stovall missing last week's race, but it's great to see the 42 out on track. And Zach, we kind of laughed and joked about it before the broadcast. This 42 could be a threat here tonight to watch out for if he gets up front for big blocks and big moves.
I think that this place is going to play perfect in the Stovall style of racing. We've seen so far this season the super speedway tracks where you got to really utilize the draft, utilize your ability to keep track position and just, maintain positioning. Stovall's been one of the best at it, and he's been one of the most aggressive when it comes down to it. And I think a lot of that reason comes down to he's not got a lot to lose. No chance to go out there and win a championship for this 42 team. They're going out there just to get victories, and I think tonight Las Vegas could be his time to cash in.
Time to watch out and see who can get the top spot. Currently, it's Martin Morales Jr. top position for himself. Let's say that, though, Cedric Hunter takes away that top spot. Stovall, after his second lap being completed, he'll move up to 6th position. So currently, it's that second lap where drivers are finding the money and great speed, as we're now going to see Presley Sora, another driver that we're expecting to be a threat up front early if he can qualify well. But currently, it's Cedric Hunter, Vincent Sora, and Martin Morales Jr. going to be your top 3 at the time. And Zach, weather, it is going to be a factor that we talk about as we are transitioning into the nighttime conditions, but this track is already super cold compared to what we've seen in the past here at Las Vegas.
That it is, and we've already seen it now drop down into, like here as we pull that up on the bottom right for everybody looking on our screen, 75 degrees on that track temp. It's 73 in the air, so the track is barely warmer than the air. So it just shows you how cool it is out there. Is Presley Sora going to jump in between Cedric Hunter and his younger brother Vincent Sora and put himself up to 2nd, but definitely those cool temps are going to be equal to a lot of high speeds, and really those speeds are going to be up to a point where the draft is just going to be so powerful. So it's going to be fun to watch when we get this green flag dropped. But this is going to be, I think, the guy you got to watch out for the pole position if you're Cedric Hunter right now. John Forbes, been one of the best qualifiers all season long, going for the second lap here. Let's see what the money lap will do for this 11 team.
John Forbes, one of the drivers that's been strong, currently tied with the most poles this season. He grabbed the pole here last season that we were here. Cody Reed, though, he'll take that top spot for the 25. It's a 30.436 for Cody Reed. And John Forbes taking his chance, staying low, trying to carry all the momentum as well as cut the distance. He's going to cut down onto the apron to slow to get a little bit more of that distance cut. And across the line, the 11 was 18th and pole position when he completes lap number 2. It is John Forbes hitting the marks. Last driver with a real good chance to go for the pole, looking to be the 61, as that's going to be Jarrett Talmadge for himself across the line for his second lap, and it's not good enough for the pole. It's 8th place for the 61. And Zach, just like that, John Forbes looks to be grabbing his 3rd pole of the season and having the most poles so far.
That is huge, Sam. He's going to start with the track position up front to control this race not only, but also get an early bonus point bagged by trying to lead the first laps of this race. So I think if you're Forbes, any points you can take home, your points racing with this chase style format we have, if he can bag those points early, he's going to definitely look to take those. And then, of course, if we can get to that stage break with him in the lead, he will get those points also. So we'll see how it all shakes out. But John Forbes, I think, starting this off on the perfect foot for being our points leader.
Going to be the Snowy Desert Racing teammates, John Forbes, Cody Reed, 1-2 currently for themselves. But again, the point I made right before qualifying starting, no pole sitter has ever won. John Forbes, he's broken records, he's broken trends, and he's going to hope that he can break another one here tonight to set that gap back to where it was after last week's race at Sonoma. As we move away from qualifying into our warm-ups, this gives the drivers 5 minutes for any last bit of practice, as well as gives us space to talk about the point standings, how the season's grown, and let's first take a look at our standings entering tonight. Again, the gap was pretty massive when we looked at it last week. It was around 33 points between John Forbes back to Vincent Sora and Nick Crawford. It's still massive from drivers 5th on back, starting with Cedric Hunter, Thomas Green, and Justin Campbell, that 5th, 6th, and 7th. But our top 4 in points, I would say they are still all in the hunt for a championship here. The question is, who could be perfect for these final 3 races of the season?
For sure. The four up front, I think, are definitely the ones you got to contend for. Cedric, really on a long shot, gonna have to just start winning multiple races if he wants any chance. And I hope for these other guys to have some bad misfortune. But yeah, with Forbes having a 13-point lead, that it really closed down the gap with Vincent's win last week at Sonoma. And if you think about it, if Vincent wins North Wilkes-Barre, things play out a little different there. We could have had this points, almost tied with how the bonus points would have shook out. So it is still up for grabs, and I think these two, of course, have been the top 2 all season, and kind of Nick Crawford's been that like next step down from them. So I'm not surprised to see these 3 really be the ones fighting it out. But I tell you what, we got a good show in our hands for these next 3 races.
And then also below their top 13, the best of the rest, Danny Cochran, Joshua Stovall, and Jared Talmadge, those top 3 drivers racing against one another to see who can get that 14th spot that missed out on the playoffs. As we got word this week, last week, we got word from Christopher Norris that he was going to be moving away from full-time racing. Just got word Danny Cochran after this season, we'll call it, away from full-time racing. You hate to see that as one of the veterans of the series, the past champion. But Danny Cochran going to be stepping away, as he's hoping that tonight could be a special night, as he's performed well here at Las Vegas. But let's take a look at our schedule of how this season has gone so far, because it's been a lot of ups and downs, but I think we really pointed it out last week. John Forbes' dominance in the later stages of the season has really proven, as you see, just a string of race wins from week 9 all the way down, with a little bit of mixture here and there. But we're at those tracks where everyone's got a chance. I don't think it is just going to be a John Forbes win every race type of scenario we're entering for these final 3 races.
I'd have to agree with you, Sam. I think you look at Las Vegas and Chicagoland, and these tracks are going to be very, very similar, I think, when it comes to how the race is going to play out. Chicagoland will be maybe a little bit more separation just due to the older nature of the surface of the track. We might see a little more separation, but I still expect major pack racing. Phoenix, I think that race is going to be a tough one. I think that's going to be a place where if you can try to outskill somebody and, kind of get the upper hand on them, it could possibly be the track at Phoenix. So I look at that place for, a place like Vincent or John Forbes to try to either grow or shrink that gap, vice versa, between those two. So we'll see how that shakes out. But 3 great tracks, of course, the crown the champion.
Cannot wait. Chicagoland is when we will crown our Season 7 champion here in just 3 weeks. But we're going to move away from looking at our schedule, as we've got our pick'ems. Who are drivers we feel like we should watch out for or have a chance to win here this evening? I'm going to start out easy with mine. I've picked him in the past. He's shown early success. I think Thomas Green, this is a type of track that he can obviously show some great runs. He led the most laps here back in Season 2. He might be a sneaky driver to watch out for here this evening. But Zach, who do you have as your pick for this evening?
Tonight I had to go with my gut, and my feeling is this is going to be a super speedway style race. Who's been a driver that's been excellent at that? Joshua Stovall, folks. So I think your fan favorite out there is going to go and get it done here tonight and get that victory that has been eluding them, so to say.
And our third member of our group, that's Robert Moyer Jr., as he runs productions. He's going with the 13 to Cedric Hunter, and that's not a bad pick at all. Cedric has seen very good success here at Las Vegas in many different leagues. I think 13, if he's going to be the underdog, it could be tonight. As those are going to be our 3 pick'ems of this evening. The drivers are finishing up warm-ups and are about to be getting ready for tonight's race, which we haven't really talked about the big change factor for this evening. Las Vegas' race here tonight is going to be a 165 lap stage. We'll be at the end of lap 35. No, if there's no caution between lap 30 and 35, this race will continue to race green through that lap. Also, there will be no fast repairs, 4 extra sets of tires. But Zach, those extra 15 laps could make or break someone's chances of winning based off of the past fuel mileage runs that we've seen here at Las Vegas.
That's for sure. Yeah, I went back and did a little research myself, and last time we were here, it was down to a fuel mileage thing. Nick Crawford played the masterclass strategy on everybody and really made everybody think about what could be done when it comes to fuel mileage in this truck. So I don't think we'll see that tonight with the way it plays out. I mean, if cautions, fall a certain way, there's always a chance and a possibility that falls near that fuel window, which is around 46 laps is what I'm hearing from a lot of folks. So we'll see if we get a caution around, 50 to go. Hold your breath, because someone could try to do it.
It's going to be fun to see who's willing to risk it all on a race that could be the final nail in the coffin for some, a reignition for others, and it's time for us to get tonight's race started as we take a look at our starting grid for tonight's race. Taking the pole award for the third time this season, it's your two-time champ, John Forbes, leading the points and leading tonight's race. The 11 wants to make a statement here tonight. His teammate Cody Reed will be starting on the outside. Back in row number 2, we find a third position. It's the 13, Cedric Hunter, and the 12 of Presley Sora. Presley's brother, Vincent Sora, will be starting back in row number 3 in 5th position with Martin Morales Jr., who has also seen some past good success back in season 5. He's hoping to just make some swing and change for victory here at Las Vegas. Back in 7th, we find the 24 of Ali Fonseca. Jared Talmadge will be starting back in 8th position with Nick Crawford, the last driver to win here last season. He'll be back in 9th place. And Danny Cochran, two-time winner of this race back in season 3 and season 1. He's up for number 3. He'll start in 10th spot.
Starting in the 11th position, it's going to be the 16 truck of Joshua Kanata. Alongside him in 12th, it's going to be the 50 of Samuel Garcia. 13th is going to be Sam's pick, the 18 of Thomas Green. With my pick, starting alongside him in 14th, the 42 of Joshua Stovall. 15th is going to go to Jesse Thornock. With 16th holding position is the 38 of Christopher Norris. 17th in qualifying is going to go to the 19 of Tyler Dingler. With 18th going to Michael Miller. 19th is going to go to Ethan Smith. 20th is going to go to Joshua Fried. And rounding out our 21 trucks in our qualifying order here tonight is Brayton Laster in the 31.
As the field is prepped and about to be rolling off of the grid, I want to say thank you to everyone that's joining with us here this evening. It's a pleasure to give you the call on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As the field knows, this race has had so much history in the past. Season 1 came down to overtime with Danny Cochran and Vincent Sora running into one another. Season 2, we had the intentional wreck moment. Season 3 was just a grand old fight it out, coming to in overtime. Then the last lap dash between GT Rosari and Mark Morales back in season 5, and then last season, it was fuel mileage. Nick Crawford stretching out the fuel. What scenarios, what storylines will be built up? It's going to be a fun one. I mean, Zach, when we come to this track, it just feels like a different type of course than everywhere else we go, just because of the history that we've seen here in the ISRC Truck Series.
It always feels like it's like a full moon or something here when you come to Las Vegas at ISRC. I mean, even in other leagues I've seen this track, it's just known to bring out big moments for some reason. I don't know if it's just the surrounding location. The track, of course, is one of the best tracks on the whole iRacing service, so I'm not surprised to see it be very racy. But with the way NASCAR races are nowadays, a very packed racing style, drafting like this track sets up the wild action. And I think these trucks, limited horsepower, high downforce, everything's just going to be that much more grouped up. From the drop of the green flag here, these drivers are going to immediately have to be on top of the wheel, because there's going to be no saving tonight when it comes to tires.
Again, stage 1 will conclude at the end of lap 35. We are green. We will race through that lap. So we'll see if these drivers can keep it green all the way through, as this race is going to be a fun one you don't want to miss. We're happy you're along with us on the journey on Freaky Fast Broadcasting as you're watching the ISRC Larry R Productions Truck Series Race for the Chase. It's the Las Vegas 225 as John Forbes, Cody Reed, the teammates take us to the green for tonight's start. It is going to be side-by-side drag racing heading down into turn number 1 as they roar into this first corner. It is still John Forbes with the nose ahead as everyone else. Little bit of pinching action for second.
Big push from the 13 truck up to 11 of John Forbes to try to pull that inside line forward, and we'll see how quickly the moves are made. As Cedric Hunter up there looking aggressive to get to the inside, but a big moment there. He's going to wiggle, looking to get loose. He's going to have to slide back onto the racetrack, but luckily keeps it all together. But Cedric Hunter, great track position, but loses it as the 16 gets into him.
Joshua Kanata as well. Cedric Hunter going to be making contact with one another, but it's going to be the 13 through the grass, able to keep himself out of trouble. Doesn't hit the wall, nor does the 16 machine, but a big moment. That's the spacing we were talking about of Could we build spacing? Luckily, we stay green, but it's going to be a hurt moment for Cedric Hunter and Joshua Kanata. But up front, it's still a duel between John Ford, Presley Sora, as the 12 makes the move on the inside. He will lead this lap, so it's John Forbes leading lap number 1. Presley Sora leads lap number 2.
Immediately, we're seeing that top side work very well. And I talked to a few drivers in the practice session, and they told me that they felt like that top groove was going to be the place to make passes, and Presley Sora showing that as he made that move around the outside of the 11. Is now the 15 of it. Sort of looks to the inside of the 25 of Cody Reed. As this group right here is slightly, kind of broken away, and I'm surprised to see as much single file racing as we had to start off. Maybe everybody showing a little bit of patience here, other than our leaders up front who are all going for it, of course.
With the fact that there is no absolute caution going to be thrown at lap 35 when the stage concludes, it kind of puts in perspective for a lot of drivers that if you're not running for the championship, you're backing off. You're saving what you can, and that's why we're seeing 3 of our top 4 championship contenders in points up front in our top 3. It's all going to be Presley Sora, John Forbes, Vincent Sora. They know it's GOAT time. The one driver we're missing of note is Nick Crawford, who, at this point, Zach, he's back in 7th and not putting up a big enough fight to be catching up to drivers. More so protecting the tires, it seems.
Nick Crawford, yeah, definitely looking like he's kind of playing the role of like possum, just kind of, let those guys do what they do up front, and then going to try to come back into it later. And that can work very, very well here at these drafting practices, because you're kind of just getting pulled along. You can kind of save your equipment in the corners where the truck is most loaded up, as we ride on board with Crawford, and really able to allow yourself to maybe make those moves later in the run and still utilize that draft to your advantage. So we'll see how well it works out for him, but definitely giving up a little bit of time here early compared to his other contenders as Vincent Sora and Presley Sora battling for lead up front.
Single file for a quick moment, then ducking down. It's going to be Presley Sora. Still does not want to be a follower. He wants to be in the lead position, get that fresh air, feel a little bit more comfortable on the tires as see everyone else cycling in position. We've also had a couple of more scares as this green flag run has continued on. It's going to be the 0-0 of Ethan Smith. He had a big moment with Joshua Stovall 3 laps ago coming off of turn number 4 as there was slight contact at the rear end of the 0-0, sending him into the grass, and it looked like going through the grass has given a little bit of front end damage. As you can see there, crinkled is the nose. That's that damage that was going over the bumps through the grass.
And that is a tough break for Ethan, because that damage is going to hurt you here at this track, especially. And just looking at lap times, he's the only driver running about a 31-second lap time. So definitely, I think, hurt from the pace of that truck, and that damage is going to just cause a lot of drag and a lot of unnecessary air. That's just going to cause that truck to be slower in the straightaway, and that is huge when it comes to a track like this where it's all straights wide open.
I know for Ethan, he's driving tonight with a heavy heart. Missed last week at Sonoma as he was dealing with a loss. His grandfather passing away, Richard Gomez, who was a husband, father, and grandfather, and a great-grandfather. It was a man who was all about family, and it is a huge loss to see. He was someone who's been watching the ISRC ever since Ethan started back in season 1, and even when Ethan wasn't showing up, his grandfather was there watching and enjoying the show. We are so sorry for your loss, Ethan, as he is, again, driving for his grandfather. The special scheme is honoring him.
Definitely awesome to see him honoring his grandpa like that, and definitely thinking about Ethan and his family for sure with all that's going on there. So definitely feel for them, and hopefully Ethan can get that truck fixed up and get back up in the mix, because you can see right now everybody's definitely mixing it up. Forbes, Sora, all of them up front have been kind of just swapping positions, and I'm not surprised to see that right now with everybody having the grip they need. But it looks like the only truck kind of looking to the outside is the 24 Fonseca. Is now he's going to get a little bit of a block from the 12 Presley Sora, but Fonseca now slots in ahead of Cody Reed.
And I think for the field, they all have to recognize, I know for some drivers, they like to look at the past. I always have my notes of what past races have looked like. Las Vegas is known for cautions. It has brought them out. The most recent races have trickled down on the numbers that we usually see, as last season we had 4, back in season 5 we had 6, but the first 3 seasons that we ran here at Las Vegas, all of those races had 8 cautions. I know with the slightly smaller field, it's going to enable there to be less cautions, but with the racing we're seeing right now, we're 11 laps in. Zach, I don't know if we're ever going to see this swapping back and forth ever stop with the way that this race is looking like.
Exactly, and I think that what everybody's doing a good job of is, and it's allowing the swapping back and forth and not too many issues from it, is everybody's kind of giving and taking. There's nobody really stacked up, because I watch these guys in practice. They can literally run 2 by 2 by 2 all the way from, really first all the way to 10th or 15th throughout the pack. So they're definitely holding back. There's some holding back going on right now, and I think everybody's showing a lot of patience, knowing this is a long race that could actually go green for a very long time. So no reason to rush it here. Just stay in the mix, and you can be there to fight for it at the end of this thing's over.
That's Nick Crawford. Last time we really touched on where he was running, he was back in 7th, currently in 5th place, and trying to set up a way to get by the 24 of Ali Fonseca behind this 74 machine. Seeing Danny Cochran, Christopher Norris, as well as Cody Reed, Michael Miller, starting to get more side by side for themselves here this evening. As Christopher Norris swapping back, and he was the 54 last week, back to his normal number of 38 here tonight as he's running retro schemes. But it's the Lariat Productions crew that are going to be side by side, as the 2 and the 24 going to be having their run off the exit of the corner. And it looks like for Ali Fonseca, he's stuck in the conveyor belt. This 24 is struggling to get a good run off the exit of the corner.
It is so tough when you're on the bottom like that. You're not getting the draft down the straightaway first off, but you're also just getting pinched down here on the exit. You're not able to let the wheel of the truck fully out to get straight here early to carry the speed down this back straightaway. So you're seeing right there, lost the position to Danny Cochran. Now next on the list is going to be the likes of Christopher Norris, then Michael Miller. Then you're going to have Cody Reed jump to the outside. Then you're going to have Jared Talmadge. I mean, this is literally a conveyor belt, and this is almost the feeling of Martinsville, but the opposite. You get stuck on the bottom here instead of getting stuck on the top of the short track.
Falling back to the 24 as he continues to go backwards. Up front, starting to see a little bit more of a gap building up. Vincent Soar, John Forbes working as tandem. Presley Soar, that is doing a very odd strategy compared to everyone else. We're staying extremely high through 1 and 2, and then dropping low through 3 and 4. Very different from what we've been seeing most of the field try to just stay low. I'd be trying to search for where there's some extra grip, maybe finding some pressure of where momentum to make passes, defensive lanes. Looks like that's what the 12 was searching for as he goes right back down to the bottom where everyone's been.
Very interesting to see if that works out for him, as now Nick Crawford, who's made his way back up the 4th, he's starting to venture a little bit up into that upper lane in 1 and 2. And 1 and 2 is a corner where you can kind of venture upwards on the racetrack, but I know that a lot of drivers love to run that bottom side just to keep the grip all the way low, because it's just the shortest way around here when you're running almost wide open is usually the fastest way. So we'll see how this works out. But Vincent Soar and John Forbes, they're definitely starting to open up a little bit of a gap here to these other two. If they don't start to battle, they could start to stretch their legs a little bit.
I mean, I think they're certainly going to give it a try, unless Nick Crawford gets by Presley just in ease, because this 74 is one of the fastest drivers out on track. Same for the 2 of Danny Cochran. They are working together quite well as they're trying to make the march to catch up to our top 2. As currently this lead pack, they might all be in a train, but by connected by the draft, it's our top 17, all within 3 seconds of one another. And it is impressive to see how the draft could just allow all these drivers to stay so close to each and every one another, and it's those small little gaps in between enabling these groups, and it's for some an opening to go for a passing position, such as right here of Jared Talmadge in the 61 with his teammate going to be the 18 of Thomas Green. Jared Talmadge, winner of this race all the way back in season 2, as his teammate of Thomas Green led the most laps during that race. There's a little bit of fiasco that happened halfway through that run, but for this 61, he would love to get another chance at victory in this series, and this track has rewarded him before, hoping for another reward here tonight.
That would be a great thing to see for sure for that 61 team, who I think this season has just been all over the place for him for sure. Just can't seem to find any bit of good luck for Talmadge there. So we'll see what he can find here tonight in Las Vegas. This is definitely a place where you want to have the luck, so to say, is in everybody's single filed out right now. But as I say that, John Forbes up front, he's going to take a look to the inside of Vincent Soar. The battle for the lead is on.
for the lead, look for a quick moment, and this is exactly what Presley Sora, Nick Crawford, Danny Cochran are all wanting to see a little bit more of. John Forbes putting the pressure, getting the quarter panel, side drafting, slowing each other down up front to not allow this gap that has grown to be almost 2-3 tenths to get even bigger as our front two back in line. Not a lot of time to pressure, and really for John Forbes, it just looks like he closes in, takes him about 2-3 laps to get to the point where he has a chance to go for a pass, and then settles and falls away after that attempt. As Spears another attempt further on back, the battling going for 4th place. Danny Cochran attempted to go for the pass, had a nose ahead for a quick moment, then had to fall back in line, and it's brought everyone else back into the mix.
That's exactly right. You get side by side, and it just seems like you lose so much momentum. And a really great job by Christopher Norris there to really gain back the time once as soon as Danny Cochran got to that inside of Nick Crawford. So good job doing that. And for Christopher Norris, you're going to watch down too, because Cody Reed's making some pretty big moves too, moving his way forward. Is now Cochran once again to the inside. This is going to open up the door here for these two as they're going to be side by side. The side draft, they're going to slow everybody down.
Slowing down one another. Almost contact off the exit of the corner as 74 in the 2 machine trying their best to move forward. Danny Cochran going to be seeing the pressure from Christopher Norris. Norris going to be trying to bounce to the outside row, but they were so close to one another. You have to be careful with those slow moves, and that's always been, I think, a talking point of Christopher Norris. He has either been quick and dashing at times for a whole season. Other seasons, he's done what we call slow blocks, where he just slowly moves up and down. And it's 38, especially with how close everyone is. I think being a little bit more quicker might be the route you want to go, but he's losing momentum, and now it's his teammate Cody Reed trying to put the pressure to push that 38 forward to catch back up with Cochran and Crawford. As we got to move back up to the lead position because they're almost 3 wide. Presley Sora, he is trying to make a run on the outside. Big momentum move as he's watching the leaders side by side ahead of him. It's Vincent Sora, John Forbes. As trouble further on back, it's Cody Reed. Trouble on the back stretch.
Yeah, Reed gonna go spun around there and nose into the inside wall, and he's gonna get that truck back going. That's the only truck that was involved in that, and I think it came off contact between him and his teammate Christopher Norris, so that's gonna be a highly talked about incident.
As the drivers going back and forth, dashing around one another, have to be frustrating for some of these drivers that were making the charge. And Cody Reed, he was up there and was one of the biggest movers. Now he's just watching everyone around. Here's the replay of the incident, and just small little tap goes around, almost a blowover, but that contact there, not what you want to see at Las Vegas.
That is definitely not what you want to see, but I tell you what we want to see is that battle up front, because, man, there are 3 abreast almost right now as Forbes really able to drive up to the wall there, but not able to get alongside the 15, now the 12. Going to try to pull up alongside the 11 as these 3 trucks look so excellent. Cochran also has gotten past Nick Crawford. We'll see if he can start to close down a little bit, but they know what's coming up here, Sam. They know that stage, points are going to be paid out here very, very soon, and you know the battle between these 3 right now is on.
Now, once we get to the stage, it will not be an absolute thrown yellow, but if there is a caution for an on-track incident between lap 30 and 35, that will count as the stage. Otherwise, we'll race through the end of lap 35. That is the lap that is so critical. Top 10 drivers are going to give bonus points, and currently at this time, the 4 drivers, a big note, that are hunting for this championship this season. Vincent Sora in first, John Forbes second, Presley Sora third, and Nick Crawford running back in 5th position. They need every point possible, as once again, John Forbes, another attempt to the inside. It's Vincent Sora to the quarter panel on the outer groove. He tries to throttle up, but just not able to. The grip wasn't there, and it's the 11 right back to the point as the Sora brothers bump draft their way to set up maybe another chance to make a pass on the 11.
Oh, that was great A move from John there off of 4. Had the run that Vincent had to run a little lower line. He had the run on him, made Vincent have to block high not to give up his quarter panel, and when he did, he immediately struck low, got far enough clear of him that he could really just drive it off into 1 and clear the 15. The 15 tried to get back to the quarter panel, actually got a little tight from getting back to the gas. So John Forbes right here, master class on that pass. And right now, Vincent Sora, actually, he's going to have to deal with his brother, Presley Sora, who's looking to go to the inside of him. So this is a tough scene if you're Vincenzola, seeing your championship contender drive out the front windshield.
And this has been the most frustrating thing about the whole entire playoffs. In the last stint of the regular season is Vincenzola just watched John Forbes race after race just have a little bit of a nose ahead when it came down to these critical moments of coming down to the stage, coming down to the end of the race. And right now it's John Forbes who looks the most poised to be our stage winner. But if there's going to be a threat that could steal it away, the next fastest driver on track is this two machine of Danny Cochran. The problem is that he's only got 4 laps to catch up to our top 3 and pass all 3 of them for the stage win. Otherwise, this two will just be watching this group put all the pressure forward, as again, it's the end of lap 35 that will be the stage. No yellow will be thrown for the end of the stage, unless there's an on-track incident as one driver making an emergency stop or just making an early stop. It's going to be Brayton Lassiter, who's going to be the first driver into pit road, as the run to catch up to the leaders is on for the 2.
And it is. The 12 is just trying his best to run down Forbes while we're riding on board Danny, who last time by lost a little bit of time there. So we'll see if he's able to kind of solidify that gap here a little bit. He's about a second back from the leaders, and again, a little bit of time lost for the 2 machines. So, biggest thing for him, he might not catch these guys before this stage points are given out. But his big thing here is this is going to stay green, like we've been saying. There's going to be no caution thrown. So if you're the 2, just keep making headway, and at some point you might have a shot to win this race.
Plenty of time for some big moments, but one driver that's running out of time to gain spots, that's the 74 Nick Crawford. You can see in those later shot currently being challenged by Michael Miller and Thomas Green. Crawford at one moment was in 4th place. He was moving forward, looked so quick, but has lost touch. He's starting to fall back. We got to go back up front because we're coming to the last 2 laps, a lap and a half left in the stage, and it's Presley Sora who went for an attempt to go for the pass, lost momentum. He's got 1 more lap to attempt to get by this 11 machine and went out on the stage win, which it's only a small 1 point, but if we see Presley win out for the rest of the season, he's right back in the hunt for this championship, which is exactly what he's hoping for. We're on the final lap of the stage, and John Forbes looks primed to win this stage, but here's the final dash by the 12 machine.
And it's going to be a good run down the back straightaway here. He's not going to close in right here to the back bumper. And what's he going to do is he's going to try to get there, because no caution coming, so you don't know if you're going to want to try to do that. Don't think he's going to have a shot. Is John Forbes going to win the first stage here, Sam, and take home them 10 bonus points?
As they cross the line, it's based off where you are. Once you cross the line on the bonus points, they'll be given out as, oh no, yellow flag is thrown. And I believe one of the admins forgot their own rule and threw the caution.
That's unfortunate. That's him.
Oh no, that was not planned. Admin threw the yellow, and that changes all this battling.
Yeah, that throws a whole different scheme into this race now and changes up everything. So I mean, even if you're someone like a Brayton Laster, you pitted there not knowing the caution was going to come out. Now you're going to be stuck a lap now.
That has got to be so frustrating for the 31 who went a lap down, wasted a set of tires, and now we'll get the lucky dog spot, but not going to be in a prime position for later in this race, as the field going to slow down, going to wait for the pace car to catch up and then go into pit road and get service done. But it's going to be John Forbes, your stage winner, and everyone else in line going to be seeing John Forbes, Presley Sora, Vincent Sora, Danny Cochran, Jared Talmadge, Nick Crawford, Michael Miller, Thomas Green, Ollie Fonseca, and Joshua Stovall going to be your top 10 to get bonus points as they head into pit road to get service done. It's been a while, Zach, so we've had a stage break yellow, but these drivers, critical moment. You got to make sure that you make a clean pit stop, but this helps those that had a huge pickup, such as Michael Miller, our biggest mover so far.
This is huge for someone like that, for sure. This is huge for someone like a Cedric Hunter, a Joshua Kanata, Ethan Smith, Cody Reed. I mean, this is a lifeline for them and a huge break. So that's going to be interesting to see how that all shakes out.
As the field's going to be entering pit road, once they exit out, we'll actually have a chance to talk to our stage winner of John Forbes, get his thoughts on this run as they race all the way to the line. It will be the 11 machine winning the race off of pit road. Biggest loser off of pit road might be Vincent Sora, losing a spot to Danny Cochran as he had a great pit stop for the 2. We're going to see if we can pull up the 11 and see how he's feeling after this run, as not the traditional we've seen recently, but we'll see if we queue up the 11. John Forbes, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. I know you weren't expecting a stage yellow, nor were we, but you got it. You're the stage winner. How are you feeling with tonight's race so far?
Yeah, it's been an interesting one. From the practice session, I just kind of got a feel that it's gonna be important to save tires, and just like going hard a few laps is really gonna hurt you. So, race went green. I was like, all right, let's just see what happens. I was kind of cruising. Unfortunately, gave up the lead, fell back to 3rd. But as the run went on, I just ran behind Vinny, just kind of waiting for my moment, counting down the stage to kind of put a little charge on. And then the time came when I got to do it, and we got around him. Took a couple attempts. But we got it done and got the stage win, so that's going to be some great points for me. Got like a 15-point lead, I think, now, because Vinny got 3rd in that stage. So, yeah, it's the Golden Knight. Just keep increasing that points lead. That's just what we're going to keep doing through the rest of this race.
Definitely looks like you're in a good position to do that, John. What do you think is going to be the most important thing to keeping this victory and keeping the win to get those 10 bonus points to grow that lead?
Yeah, obviously the track position, it means a lot. But at the same time, not going too hard on your tires. Like I said, you can really heat up the right front here, and just going hard for a few times or just run the wrong line for a while will just really hurt you over the course of the run. Like we saw Nick Crawford kind of dropping back, but just kind of struggling to get the handle on his truck. So we'll see how he does in the next run. But yeah, just really important to keep the tires on it while keeping your track position. It's really fine balance to keep on track of.
Well, John, it was a pleasure to get to see you racing those first 35 laps. Good luck, and we'll send you back to your team for this restart.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy the show.
As that will be the 11 machine of John Forbes from Snowy Desert Racing. And, I mean, Zach, I know this is going to be changing up for a lot of drivers' mentalities moving forward. It looks like we're going to be having just 20 drivers on this restart, as Christopher Norris will stay in pit road. But, man, I'm curious on how much this will change for the likes of for Nick Crawford, also for Cedric Hunter, who's back in this. And we've seen in the past in other leagues and other races where if he has a first lap mistake, that 13 is always there at the end.
Yeah, definitely, especially in places like Las Vegas and Homestead. It always seems to be the certain tracks that he has those mistakes early that he comes back from, so to say. But we'll see. He's got a long road ahead of him, of course, with some fast drivers up in this field. But man, I tell you, if you're John Forbes, that's definitely got to be a little bit, deflating. Even the 12 machine too, because like, if you're President Sora, you felt like you were in position there, maybe get around Forbes there before pit stop started to transpire. And now with the way everything shook out, it looks like we're gonna have about a 2-stopper here race. So I'm gonna have to still stop at least twice on pit road. Expect these runs to be about 43 to 44 laps for a lot of these guys. So we'll see how they stretch this out, Sam. But definitely that caution kind of throwing a wrinkle, I think, in some people's strategy.
A little bit of something different. It's always a different effect that sometimes you get to see. And for the field, they get prepared. It is going to be a long night. Extra laps were added. Now we get to see how this field's going to react with a stage yellow thrown. Is it going to cause some calamity, or will the drivers play nice? As the last time we had a restart, there were some drivers making some big moves and almost some big wrecks happened. Now it's time for the Las Vegas 225 to get back underway. John Forbes, Presley Sora, take us to the green as those engines roar. A little bit of a misfire on the outside, but it's up front. John Forbes roaring into turn number 1.
John with a great start there on the bottom, like you said, really roaring in there. But look at the 2 of Danny Cochran. New life for him now. He's up here with tons of track position. This 2 loves Las Vegas.
He just finds moments to get up here. This 2 machine winner of season 1. It was under some controversial moments as he accidentally found his way spinning out Vincent Sora, but then found his way into victory back in season 3 with some powerful moves here tonight for Danny Cochran. with the announcement earlier this week that he was going to be stepping away from full-time racing in the ISRC Truck Series moving forward. This is one of those last races, a last hurrah. Still has not won this season, and the 2 wants victory if possible as he dives down low, trying to get by John Forbes. And this has been the big threat of the season, the 11. Who can stop him?
And this is huge right here. You know, Vince Sora's going to have his teammate Danny Cochran up here with him. If you're Vincent Sora, you want to use that 2 as almost a blocker for this 11 in the championship. You know, anything you could do to gain points on your team, on the driver you're trying to race with, you're going to do. And those 2 Cochran Sora Racing drivers find their way to the front in front of the 11. But the 11 last time, remember, did such an excellent job of riding behind the 15 and really just managing his stuff. We'll see if this time the 15 can do a little bit better, because Vincent definitely struggled there on that longer run.
And it looks like we're seeing those different pockets of groups. Again, it was the first lap when he initially started this race. It kind of gave everyone a little bit more spacing. We had a couple of wrecks sending drivers into the grass. Didn't bring out a yellow, but it certainly did give space for drivers. Now that spacing is gone. Everyone's on top of one another. A little bit more of an anxious feeling, a lot more willing to make some aggressive moves, it seems like, as new drivers up front that we haven't really gotten to see what threats they're going to be like, with Thomas Green, Jared Talmadge, Joshua Stovall. They're now all inside of the top 10, where they're close to the top 5. These are new threats for our top 4 that really haven't felt this at all this evening.
We're starting to see a little bit more of that practice style racing that I was saying earlier, where everyone's stacked up on top of each other. The runs are starting to come, and look at Stovall diving into the inside here, right to the back bumper of the 12. These drivers are not going to play around, man. This is going to be a much more competitive run, I think, here, and you're going to see these drivers stacked up on top of one another.
Stage points are gone. It's now about the win. That is the most critical factor of the night. If you're part of the championship 4 that are still hunting for that championship, John Forbes, Vincent Sora, Nick Crawford, or Presley Sora, a win could change the dynamic of how close you're going to be at John Forbes by going into next week at Phoenix. It also could give the dynamic to John Forbes that he completely negates and advances and builds the gap that he had after the stage was over. That is the big power of a win here in this series, that we don't know who's going to be the big threat to watch out for with the 2 pit stops we know are ahead of us. But up front, it's 2 by 2, and here we go. It's Presley Sora almost moving up into John Forbes.
Everything's just getting a little bit more aggressive here, Sam. Push is going to come to shove here in a little bit. So you can see right there at 12. I mean, he is just flying off in there. Same for the 42. These guys are just stacked up, really pushing hard, and wouldn't be surprised to see if we see some type of incident rear up here, because when you got these drivers neck to neck like this, all it takes is one slip up and someone can wreck.
Remember, the last time we really saw Joshua Stovall up front being a threat for a win, he found himself a victory lane back at Talladega to start the playoffs. As diving down low is going to be John Forbes trying to get by this 42. But it was Stovall that also didn't make the biggest of friends out there on track. He made a lot of big blocks, made big moves that some drivers got antsy about. I mean, here tonight, this 42, if he gets up front like he is right now, these championship hopefuls, I don't know if they're feeling the most secure at this moment, because this 42 is a threat now.
He's willing to make the move, that's for sure, Sam. And right now, he's all over the back bumper of Vincent Sora's. He got to that outside quarter panel there in the 3 and 4, and he's getting a good shove here down the back stretch. Is this going to stack up here down in the 3? That got very, very close there. And that can lead to instance there, because it kind of accordions. That leader doesn't have that draft. He lifts a little bit earlier, maybe than Vincent does, and he has to lift. Then the 42 just can't see what's going on. So watch out for accordions here with everybody stacking up like this and trying not to give up that outside quarter panel.
Sora brothers lead 1-2 with Stovall and the Brown machine in third. Everyone else trying to find their openings. Do you push? Do you go to the inside, use the momentum? Do you just back off? One driver going to the outside groove. That's going to be your red and white machine, Michael Miller, who's trying to get by Danny Cochran in the 2. And Michael, trouble behind. It's Jesse Thornock that goes around for the 20 machine.
Heavy hit there, as he's going to come to a stop here on the front straightaway, Sam. And yeah, that was, I believe, contact between him and I believe Joshua Freed. So I'll have to go back and check that one out. But I think it's just 2 drivers going for the same spot on the track, and Thornock unfortunately going to go for a good little ride there head first to the wall, as I think We went a little too far back there as we went to the restart. So we'll see if we can get back to this. This is it's backwards on the front straightaway roll there, Sam. Yeah, it's gonna be a head first incident. That's what's tough when you hit head first like this. It usually does the worst damage.
Yeah, it's going to be coming out of turn number 4. Here's the setup as going to be Jesse Thornock, who's making his return out on track, trying to set up this pass to get by the 39 of Joshua Freed. You also have Joshua Kanata ahead of him, and the 20 machine keeps his foot in the throttle. It's just one of those racing deals where one driver thinks that he's clear fully, the other one just keeping his foot, trying to keep the position, and ultimately contact is made, and it's Jesse Thornock that's going to be dealing with the heavy damage for the 20 machine. Luckily, it's not required damage, but we'll be sending him into pit road to get some type of service done, and as well as gives an opening for a few other drivers to enter pit road. As we were 14 laps into that run, this is the time that if you want to change up your pit strategy, you've got that chance now.
You really do. This is definitely interesting right here, Sam. I think this is gonna shake things up quite a bit here. I'm gonna have to definitely do some quick maths here to figure out how these drivers could, look to run this run out. And I mean, it's not going to change. I think they're still going to have to do a 2-stop. That's the biggest thing. But I do think at the same time, this is going to change up their ability to try to, stretch things out to maybe get a caution, maybe catch out a few people on pit road. So we could definitely see this strategy of coming down pit road here really coming back to help a few people here. So we'll see who benefits from it. And I wouldn't be surprised to even see a lot of these drivers not even probably take tires, just more or less take fuel to get to the, a farther distance in the green flag run.
Some did, some didn't. And one driver of note, and you already know he's willing to make the gutsy call. It rewarded him last season. Nick Crawford, 4 tires and fuel as well, joining with him on that strategy. Ollie Fonseca, Tyler Dangler, and also Brayton Lassiter, all going to be going for 4 tires and fuel. Those that just took fuel only, going to be Samuel Garcia, Ethan Smith, Mark Morales, and Joshua Freed. But Nick Crawford, his home track, I know he wants to get another one, another win here at Las Vegas. But whenever we talk about weird oddball strategies and there's a chance to go off strategy, it seems like it's always Nick Crawford, and it seems to mostly reward him at the end of the night.
That it really does. So yeah, I like this call though from him because it puts him in a completely different sequence of everybody with him taking tires here. If we were to go green, if we stretch this run out and we get far enough into it, you're going to see the difference of those tires. He's going to drive up through this field. He's going to get to a point where he could possibly even break away from the field. So if you can do that and the race stays green, it is now in your hands, So really Crawford here, I think, just hopes more or less this goes green, while I think some of these other drivers are going to say, well, I hope this just plays out a little bit differently because, it's all about timing when it comes to strategy. And Crawford, we know, is one of the best at timing it, Sam.
Certainly. So last season, he found himself those 6 wins. This season, only 2, with his win at Michigan and then also at Road America. But we look at true consistency throughout the season. It's been all John Forbes and Vincent Sora. Those 2 drivers have, if you look at top 5s, top 10s, they're at the top of both of those categories. Wins as well for John Forbes at 5 wins. It's crazy when you look at the leaders in stats through so far this season. Top 5s, it is only 2 drivers. That is John Forbes, Vincent Sora. John having himself a total of 12 top 5 finishes this season of the 14 races that he's ran. Vincent Sora has 11 top 5 finishes of the 15 he's ran. And then top 10s, they both have 13, with Nick Crawford having 11 top 10s out of his 14 races. And Justin Campbell, who sadly did not show up for tonight's race, he as well has 11 top 10s out of the 14 races he's ran so far. So the consistency has helped those drivers be in the spots they're at in the championship, still in the hunt for some of those. I know with Campbell missing tonight, his championship hopes for season 7 are officially snuffed out, but it's been a great season for that 9 machine as well.
It really was. The 9 definitely had a great season, Sam. Unfortunately, missing here tonight, so that's going to, like you said, snuff out his chances for a championship, but we'll always be welcome to see what he can do, of course, next season. But you're going to go back green, the Sore brothers on the front row, and I'll tell you what, we got some strategy to look at now.
We certainly do. What is the difference of 14 lap old tires the fresh ones. Those with fresh tires all the way back in 15th position with Nick Crawford. Up front, it's the Sora brothers. Presley and Vincent Sora enter the restart zone, and we are green for race for the chase for the Las Vegas 225 once again, as about a quarter of the race, 1/3 of the race is done. Time to see who is going to be the big threat moving forward, as Presley Sora, a huge, great launch for himself over a truck length, a gap between himself and his brother, but it's everyone from third on back that's still very close. That's Stovall, Forbes, Danny Cochran, and I'm keeping my eye out for this going into turn number 3.
That it is. It's getting stacked up. Vincent Sora going to take advantage of it with the push from the 42 of Stovall. He's going to take the lead, but Joshua Stovall going to look to his inside as now Vincent Sora covers the door, and he is going to block that off and lead the way here down in the 1, but it's going to be Stovall looking to the inside, and Vincent Sora going to have to leave the door open because that 43 is going to knock it down.
Ground crew, time to get it loud in the chat because that 42 machine is a rocket ship right now. He's going to have the nose ahead heading into turn number 3. It's Sora, Stovall, Sora, as well as Forbes going through 3 and 4. And Joshua Stovall working his way forward. Qualified 14, not where he wanted to be, but knew it was going to be a long race, and he finally is up front. Give that lap to the 42 machine. Zach, your pick, has done a great job getting up front, and he is in position now to really just kind of frustrate, I would say, our top playoff contenders, because this 42 is a wild card. You don't know what type of racing style he's going to show, and Presley Sora doesn't want to just watch. We'll go 3 wide for the lead down into 3.
Off of the top rope from the outside there down to the bottom 3 wide. Presley Sora with the big move to try to take the lead, but it's just going to be a little bit short because Joshua Stovall going to take the lead there as Vincent Sora slid up the racetrack, allowed the 42 pass. Stovall to the point out front.
And again, a huge push was that 15 to Stovall, allowing him to keep that top spot and on the outside. But moving forward, our drivers with fresh rubber. Nick Crawford started back in 15. He's only been able to move up to 11th, but he is surrounded by a wall of drivers. The 74 is the fastest on track currently, but this grouping is dangerous as John Force now going to give an attempt to go 3 wide. Similar move that Presley did, as now we'll see if it will work out for the 11 up front. But look at this gaggle of machines, and it's slicing and dicing between Ollie Fonseca as well as Nick Crawford, as they're trying to be so finesse with the way that they work their way through this traffic that's so close. As Thomas Green, Michael Miller almost made contact into the corner. And these are those moments you're so worried about with netcode, with how close they are. One mistake, and all these drivers' races are done.
Fonseca and Crawford utilizing those fresh tires, really making big moves here, Sam. And like you said, one mistake and they're done. Crawford was flirting with disaster. He had the left front wall that Hooper was really trying to get every little thing out of it. Now he's going to look to the inside of Cochran here, down into 3 and 4. And you're going to see again these tires. Look at him. He can just throw it into the corner so much better than the others. Crawford and Fonseca here at some point will take the lead of this race. The key is, though, will they be able to get away? That's what I'm really going to question here, because we have actually seen a decent bit of fall off even with the drafting.
Yeah, the fall off is there, but like you said, what type of pulling away action is there? And with the fact that we're seeing drivers really losing the momentum, right there was the 11 of John Forbes that just lost the run off of 2. Luckily got a bump from Talmadge, allowed the 11 to stay in position. Nick Crawford, Ollie Fonseca, they're working together as one. Another grouping of drivers that took fresh rubber, the 19 of Tyler Dangler, the 31 of Brayton Lassiter. They're also on fresh rubber. They're just being a little bit more patient with their approach. And for Tyler Dangler, this is similar to what we saw back at Michigan for the 19, where he had one of his best runs and was a threat for a win during that race, looking back at it.
He definitely was, and this is the strategy. This is exactly the strategy that they played to get in that position. And we've seen this in the past here in Las Vegas, where it's been a shook-up finishing order. You look at the finishing order, and it wouldn't tell of who was up front for the majority of the night, because it came down to really strategy and where you place yourself. Because right now, it is where you can place yourself to find it. Because right now, the 11 of John Forbes, he's in the sucker hole, getting pushed back, as the 74 of Crawford now finally up the second, and he's going to be looking for the lead here soon.
Pushing Stovall ahead and trying to build as much of spacing so he can go high, low, anywhere he wants to go without worrying about the drivers behind him. But again, you were talking about the fact that the 11 of John Forbes was in the mix. It also was the 15 of Vincent Sora stuck back there with the 11. They are both being swarmed at the moment as Nick Crawford, fresh tires, work out. He is to the point and try to pull away. This is that chance. What does the draft look like for Stovall? Can he stay attached to the 74, or is the grip level too high and he's just going to have his own run to pull away? Also, the battle for third place is Ollie Fonseca with fresh tires, trying to get by Presley Sora, and also Tyler Dangler making his charge forward, doing a great job. Brayton Lassiter did have a moment for the 31. Wasn't able to stay attached with the 19. He'll fall back to 14th position, but it is a three-horse race. Seeing drivers, three different mentalities of how to get through the pack with fresh rubber, and it's Nick Crawford that currently is trying to pull away.
I think one thing that could help Crawford here is to actually get Fonseca up here with him. The 24 can get up there. Same for the 19 and Dingler. Those three can work together, draft together, as that was so close between Forbes and them. But man, the fresh tires working to a perfection right now for the drivers that have implemented this strategy. If it goes green, it falls right into their hands here, folks.
It really does, and that's the big thing of, can it stay green? Because it looks like for those that are on older tires, they're trying to make big moves while also having faster drivers with the closing rate getting right on their back bumpers. Ollie Fonseca has been able to move up to second position, getting by Stovall. This is the battle for fifth place as Tyler Dangler in that Barbie machine trying to get by Vincent Sora for fifth place. And Dangler, the patient approach, it seems to be working at this moment, but he will lose touch to Nick Crawford and Ollie Fonseca. Once Fonseca catches up to that 74, Tyler has to make the choice. Do I use a little bit more of my rubber to catch up to those top two? Or just continue to be patient and be okay with the position you're in right now?
That is going to be the huge question. I think if you got that rubber, Sam, I think you got to use it right now, because you go out there and get the track position, try to stay with the drivers that have that same rubber as you, and maybe, again, that drafting together could allow them to try to pull away. Right now, as I say that, Crawford and Fonseca, they both now got the first and second, and Crawford about a 9/10 of a second gap. He might break the draft here, Sam, fully.
Yeah, he's almost fully broken away from Fonseca to have the draft at all. Everyone else kind of trying to find their own footing, as they were footing a little bit of scare there as you saw that red and white machine. That's Michael Miller, Danny Cochran getting close to one another. Got to be careful with those, and also Cody Reed. Little bit of a tap to Thomas Green. As Reed and also Green, got to be careful. Also Michael Miller, a little bit of a block on the 18 as they were moving up. And Brayton Lassiter, talking about the 31. He is also on fresh rubber, had a slide, and now the 31 going to be putting pressure to go down the apron, and he's getting some very risky runs off the exit of the corner. He will really be as efficient with the better rubber is this 31 machine. He's just staying right in danger mode.
He's definitely staying pretty patient, just not seeing the doors open up that he wants to try to throw himself through them. But that grouping of Reed, Miller, Green, they're all just slicing back and forth on the straightaways. This can only lead to disaster if this continues.
I am 100% agree. And I think with the fact that Brayton Lassiter is making his way through this grouping, I think it's allowing them to all kind of have bigger picture, eye-opening moments of, oh, you got to be careful. There is a faster driver behind, and we can't just throw away a race now, especially the fact that we still have not even had our green flag pit stop. We're expecting 2 pit stops before this race is over, and these drivers know that are on screen now. They're going to be in the pit road in the next 10 to about 12 laps. That's going to be the critical time of they did not break away. Pit stops is going to be the big factor of, can you stay close to a clump of drivers that you want to, or are you going to be by yourself and losing the draft?
Yeah, that is going to be the critical thing for sure, Sam. And then we'll have to see where the others roll up to pit. So it's going to be very interesting to see what those gaps are when it all shakes through. But I tell you, this line is very gigantic. But the one driver doing a great job that's on the old set of tires is the 12. Presley Sword now called back up to the 42 of Stovall. He's going to be going around the outside of him, and he's going to have also the help of the 19 here of Dingler on the fresh tires. And you're Presley, you're doing a great job, because look, he's got a sizable gap back to his brother Vincent Sora, and that is pretty much the same drivers that are on the strategy as you.
Yeah, I mean, for Presley, he is on that stint that's trying to go a little bit. He's going to have to pit sooner, but you're ahead of your competition. That's what really matters. Is Presley entered tonight, 4th in points. He needed a win to get back into the fight and have a chance in the final 2 races of the season, heading to Phoenix next week, in Chicagoland in 2 weeks. But this is one of those moments where I think Cressasora is one of his better runs that's away from the short track.
I completely agree. I think this is by far, if not his best mile-and-a-half performance so far this season. It's just he's shown glimpses this season on the mile-and-a-halves, but it's never been something that's been, in my opinion, race-winning. I think tonight he's got legit race-winning pace here on the long runs. It just seems to really come to him as the run continues to go on. The question is going to be, though, how long are these drivers going to wait before they pick? Because, you know, they're 36 laps in right now. They did have some caution laps in there, of course, to kind of help stretch the fuel. I would expect probably around 8 to 10 laps from now we're going to see those pit stops, because I think you need to be aggressive, Sam. If you're not aggressive here and do the short undercut strategy to Crawford, Fonseca, and Dingler, I think you're going to see those 3 really benefit from you trying to stretch it long like that.
Well, I'm also curious about if you're Nick Crawford, Oliver Fonseca, Tyler Dangler, Brayton Lassiter, and those that topped off on fuel, do you react to when those other drivers pit? Because they're going to be pitting, like you said, in the next 7 to 9 laps. When they pit, do you pit a lap after, 2 laps, because you know you're going to be losing that time, or do you stretch it out and then try to hope you gain all that momentum back? Because based on what I'm seeing right now, I think you have to react whenever those drivers pit, because you don't want to lose this gap you've already built up.
It's about 50-50 right now for me looking at it, because if you look at lap times, Crawford and Fonseca right now, they're pretty much breaking even actually now with the likes of Sora, you know, the 50 of Vince Sora, the 11 of John Forbes. Like, they're pretty much breaking even now. It's staying at about a 3-second gap from third on up to the lead. So that really, what that's starting to tell me is, you know, it's starting to even out a little bit here. And if Crawford and them wait too long, it could be too big of a deficit to try to make up. So I think, like you said, Sam, they might try to stick to pitting with some of these drivers, but you could also, if they are able to stretch this gap a little bit more, that will give them a little bit of breathing room to have an advantage and come down pit road later. So we'll see what plays out, but this is going to get interesting, especially when it comes down to the gaps when we get closer and closer to this pit stop.
As pit stops still are looming over, it's still Nick Crawford, Oliver Fonseca, Preston Sora going to be your top 3, with Tyler Dangler putting pressure for that 3rd place position. Your Talmadge, Cody Reed, these are drivers in the middle of the pack that are racing just outside of the top 10. And for Cedric Hunter, he's one of those drivers that we talked about, the fact that he had that early spin. Lap 1, exited turn 4, went into the grass with the likes of the 16 and Joshua Kanata, which both of them are still there. I mean, for this 13, curious on what the damage is like. How is that affecting these drivers? Because I know, Zach, you and I have talked about the fact that the damage model in iRacing currently has been upgraded. It's ebbed and flowed, but it seems like there might be something that's holding back the 13 and the 16.
Yeah, very well could be. You know, that hit that they took to each other could have hurt the side skirts. Sometimes you get a little bit of side skirt damage in the right spot, and they just don't fix it, it seems like. And it's just a little bit of straightaway speed loss that you really can't just make back up. So it's something to deal with. Well, you know, that could possibly be the case. I do also know Cedric Hunter is kind of driving on, you can say a little bit under the weather, but more physically under the weather. He's actually got a pinched nerve in his back. So he is kind of dealing with a lot of pain in his lower extremities. So it is, I think, a tough scene for him right now just to be even making it through this race.
That is one of the tougher things to deal with when racing. Even just trying to do daily movements is hard, let alone trying to race for a few hours. 13, Hello Kitty Machine. It's passed with Brayton Lassiter, has Joshua Freed behind him as they will continue to go back and forth for 13, 14, and 15th position. As we are now 43 laps into this run. Now, these drivers can go a little bit further than the fuel run we were given of 45 because of the cautions that we had, having those caution laps. So we still might be about 7 to maybe even 8 laps away from seeing green flag pit stops. But if you're up front, you're Presley Sora, if you're Joshua Stovall, I'm curious if you react sooner or later, because the undercut, I would imagine, would have the better advantage, just because, like we talked about before, the fact that it does fall off and kind of plateau. you'd want to have a early slight advantage over your competition behind you.
I would think so too, Sam. I'm personally surprised some of these drivers haven't even decided to hit pit road yet, personally, because I just feel like you're opening yourself up only to gain on some of these drivers who pinned a little bit, have a fresher tires like Crawford and Fonseca. But again, I think they're kind of hoping on a long run here to kind of gain back some of that time. But Crawford's doing a good job. He's continuing to grow the gap. It's about 3.5 seconds now back to Presley, or that first driver on the older set of tires. So Crawford doing a good job out front. He's also gapping Fonseca a little bit. That's exactly what he needs to be doing in the 74.
Seeing the battle happening for 5th place, Joshua Stovall, as well as going to be Vincent Sora, John Forbes, Danny Cochran, all in this mixture. Joshua Stovall, I know it's got that huge fan base. We love to see in the chat when you're rooting for all the drivers that you are rooting for. This 42, though, what makes his race so interesting to others, he's one of the only drivers racing here tonight with a real-life spotter. As he will be having the likes of Ryan Quick, who also sometimes chimes in the chat. But having a real-life spotter who can look around, see the different strategies, that is also a big advantage that this 42 has on the rest of the competition. As one driver entering pit road now, it's going to be Joshua Kanata back in 17th place.
I'm not surprised to see someone flinch from the farther back position like that. So we'll see what type of time and delta he can gain back on a few of these other drivers around him. So Kanata doing the aggressive strat. We'll see what the others elect to flinch. But right now, the 42 is still, he's done such a good job the whole back. The likes of Vincent Sora, John Forbes, Danny Cochran, like these are 3 of the fastest trucks we've seen here all night. And the 42, like I thought he would be, right here in the mix.
Putting his vehicle in the right spots, the right time. That caution at the stage really did help out the 42 machine. And at this moment, he's going to be trying to do his best to stay up front, because now we're in the no man's zone, where because of the fact of all the cautions that we had, the pacing, it's allowed drivers to go a little bit further than we've seen other drivers. Joshua Kanata went into pit road right at the window marker that we were told before, around 45 to 46 laps to enter pit road. The majority of the drivers that have yet to pit that are on the older strategy are starting their 49th lap being out on track. Well, they might be thinking either next lap or the lap after that, but if they continue at this pace, Zach, I would say everyone's thinking about pit road on the same lap based on the way that they're driving.
That's for sure. I mean, we got a fuel number of around 46. They had that yellow flag, so I think very soon you're going to have to see them pitting. I wouldn't be surprised if it's within the next 3-4 laps that they have to pit for fuel. So we'll see what they do, but everybody electing to go a little bit longer. And I tell you what, too, Presley Soro's starting to gain a little bit of time back on Nick Crawford, been a little bit faster the last few times around. That is a huge step in the right direction for this 12. He's also going to possibly start to get a little bit of draft too, only about 1.5 seconds back from Fonseca.
And also the big advantage that Presley Sora is having over the likes of Crawford and Fonseca is the fact that the Presley has Tyler Dangler behind him. Having that little bit of draft assistance is allowing more speed to push forward. Into pit road is going to be Michael Miller and Cody Reed this lap as they just make their way into the pit road entry, as Tyler Dangler looks to be dropping low, trying to go for an attempt on a pass. And if you're Presley Sora and you've got the 19 to your inside, I mean, you got to be over the radio quick informing drivers if you want to hit pit road or not.
That's for sure. You don't want to get stuck on the outside there, because if you do, you won't be able to get to the pit road right there. Presley Sora going to continue around another time, but looks like others coming down. Vincent Sora, first one of the leaders to come to pit road. Looks like he'll be followed by Cedric Hunter's team.
Cedric Hunter going to be all the way back in around 13th position, making this stop. Cody Reed as well as Michael Miller leaving pit road as they got service done. I know for Miller, had a little bit of a mistake, slid past his box, had to go backwards and get back into his box fully. That is going to be a thing that these drivers have to make sure that they are set up for, is not making pit road mistakes. You're going to have to make pit stops, as Presley Sora now going to be going into pit road for himself. Also Stovall and Forbes, they are racing one another into pit road. Same for the teammates of Green and also going to be Talmadge. A couple of these drivers looking a lot faster than one another and being side by side. Luckily, Stovall's got the earlier pit stop, because if John Forbes had the earlier stop, that 11 could be spinning around.
That could have been very, very big. And look at that, Thomas Green sliding through his box. He's going to have to back up. So I'm going to have to slightly back that truck up. So luckily got that in there. But Crawford continuing on here, Sam. Let's see when he flinches to come down pit road. He was about 3.5 seconds ahead of Presley Sora when Sora hit pit road. I think that's the driver he's got to focus on. When these drivers come out, they're going to be about 1.5 seconds quicker. It only is going to take 2 laps before that delta is going to be almost completely erased.
And 2 laps is a big advantage to have. We already saw what 14 laps look like. That's what allowed Nick Crawford to move from 15th position to a 3-second gap over second place. So for the 74, I think he knows stay on a little bit longer. You can give up, I think, 3 laps at most. 4 if you feel like you really got the speed underneath you to catch up to these drivers with just a small advantage. But for Nick Crawford, it's either make or break. You got to go big or bust for some of this crew, as other drivers leaving pit road going to be Samuel Garcia after getting service done. But it's our top 6 still needing to hit pit road, and that is actually, let's take that back, top 5 still needing to make a pit stop. As Nick Crawford, he does retaliate, he does respond into pit road. It's the 74. Ollie Fonseca stays out. Same for Tyler Dangler.
I think this is an excellent call for Crawford. Come down the pit road, just make sure you can cover off what they do, and if you can, try to keep a gap to where they don't have the draft on you and still have the advantage on tires. Because I tell you what, Presley Sora has been very, very strong in the long runs. If he has that's number 12 in his draft, it's going to be hard to shake him.
It's going to be extremely difficult, as still waiting on others to hit pit road. Ollie Fonseca making his way into pit road to get service done. Tyler Dangler stays out for another lap. Same for Joshua Freed, Ethan Smith. They will stay out. And for Freed and Smith, they just topped off on fuel, so they are not in a tire advantage. They do have another set to work with later on.
That they do, and I tell you what, Crawford now exiting off the exit of pit road. He's going to come out about 0.5 seconds ahead of Presley Sora, just like I thought it was going to be. The key, though, for him, he has got to get it going, because look, here comes the 15, here comes the 11, here comes the 12, all 3 of them in a rush towards that 74.
Those tires are warmed up. They're at full go, and they are putting the pressure now on the 74. Nick Crawford, you did a great job building up over a 3-second lead over this 12 machine. Well, now they are right back on your tailpipes. It's go time for Crawford, as well as seeing Presley Sora and a few others. Ethan Smith, big slide for the 00, as he's currently in a fight with Joshua Freed. Still needing to go into pit road is the 19, 00, and the 39. But Crawford currently battling the drivers that, once this pit cycle concludes, should be the new leaders for themselves, as Joshua Kanata, take that back actually, Kanata, Lassiter, also just gonna be Thordock, gonna be drivers to watch out for, as Thordock gets put in the middle, goes back into the 20, and now the fight's back on. They run down the 31 and the 16 machine, who pitted extremely early, and oh no, Presley Sora, slide for the 12, right for his brother. Oh, they continue to wreck. Oh, Vincent Sora, as well as Presley, caught up in the mess. Caution is out, and Forbes scaves away.
Michael Miller in the 42 Estobel just compiling in there. They had no, really even thought and recollection of what was going on up ahead of them. And I tell you what, too, a lot of drivers caught a lap down here, Sam.
Caution happening in the middle of this pit cycle. Tyler Dangler, your leader. Ethan Smith in second. Joshua Freed as well. What a bizarre moment for all of these drivers that were trying to stay out of trouble. Well, the incident up front, as they get by Jesse Thornock, it's going to be the brothers as well as Sean Forbes, all just trying to get by the 74, and it all goes awry through turns 3 and 4.
And I looked at Sam very closely. Net code between the 11 and the 12, but you can see here the 99 just comes in, hits the 15, hits the 12. The 42 behind the Stowe also catching damage from running in the back of the 99. That was just a huge checkup. And tell you what, the Sword brothers right there, their nights go from looking like a possible opportunity to win this race to now both damaged and trapped a lap down, having to take the lead.
Here is the angle as above. You see so close. There's the net code that pushes the 12 up into the 11. Just the risk of trying to pinch a driver, and then just the rush from the 42 and the 99, as they were at full song trying to keep good momentum to maybe go for a pass. Not going to be the case. As Stovall trying to keep his nose out of trouble. Not going to happen after getting service done. As they race forward. One driver, though, did get required damage. That was Joshua Freed from actually getting into the outside wall, trying to avoid that incident. Broke a toe link, but luckily it was quick repairs for the 39 machine. He's going to try to stay on the lead lap, but this will reward the drivers of Tyler Dingler and Ethan Smith to stay on the lead lap and will be the leaders on this restart. And for the 42 of Stovall, this is a nightmare situation on top of a nightmare situation for Presley Sora and Vincent Sora that were setting themselves up for another good run that does not happen for themselves. They're going to need some help by the end of this race.
That they are. They're definitely going to need some help for sure. And interesting situation. Tyler Dingler is going to come back down the pit road. I don't know if he actually got a pit stop last time when he came through. So looks like he'll come back to pit road here and come in. So that's going to look. It looks like Ethan Smith now going to be the leader of all this. So see a lot of wave rounds given. And I tell you what, too, this is tough too because if you're Vincent Sora, the likes of them, you got a lot of damage that you can't come down and fix from that wreck because you're going to need to get this wave round.
Yeah, there were everyone from about fourth on back were caught up being a lap down. It was Kanata that I believe was going to get the Lucky Dog spot. And then Lassiter, Crawford, John Forbes, all going to have to take the wave around to get back on the lead lap. That will be putting us with 16 drivers on the lead lap once the wave rounds go through. And for Tyler Dangler, just came in, topped off on fuel, which I would understand if he can make it from here. But even if we had a bunch of cautions, I don't think you can make it that far in one tank. So just trying to get a small advantage for later on if we somehow are able to stay green.
Yeah, very interested with the top off there. Yeah, if it was closer to make it fuel, I could see that. But and at the end of the day, give it a one spot. I guess it's not too bad, but it could have started with the lead. I think it would have wanted that, but we'll see how it can shake out because now, man, it's really thrown it in the hands of 4 drivers to have an advantage if we don't see a yellow again because Smith, Dingler, Freed, and Kanata all with much fresher tires than really the majority of the field.
Yeah, this is going to be looking at drivers that are in spots where, yes, they took the wave around, but are at least going to be close to the same set on tires. Nick Crawford's going to be in a good spot. I also think Ollie Fonseca, even with being only back to 14th, he's in a decent spot with tire advantage over the competition around him. Those are going to be the 2 that are taking the wave around currently to watch out for. But Ethan Smith, I mean, Zach, it always feels like when you're racing for more than just you come out with some luck that comes around, and Ethan Smith, certainly one of the drivers racing for what's more than him. With the passing of his grandpa, that he's running a special scheme and would be an incredible finish if this 00 can get into victory lane, especially because he's a driver that's won in the past. He's seen great success. He's hoping to have the redemption season that he's been calling it, or revenge tour at some point, hoping maybe it'll be next season where he can run full time. But here tonight, the 00 will lead the Las Vegas 225 in honor of his grandpa. He takes the green, and we are back to racing action at Las Vegas. We got ourselves 64 laps to go to see who's going to be winning here tonight.
And if you're Ethan Smith, you want to get with the other drivers that had the fresh tires. Y'all want to run away from this other group. Don't give them a shot. Don't give them a chance to come back from the wave around, and you could go out there and win this race. And what a special story that would be if that 00 could pull it off. He's going to have some definitely hungry competitors with that 39, the 19, and the 16 all within a shot. Don't count Crawford out, too. He's the closest on the old set of tires.
He's the closest, but there's a slight wall ahead of him once they start get rolling. John Forbes, as well as Nick Crawford, going to try to work as one, but there is a madhouse behind them. Back for 13th and 14th position. Those that are on older tires, almost calamity striking as Michael Miller goes up to the outside wall. We got drivers that are going to be racing mad. One of those is going to be Danny Cochran. He's trying to get through this mixture. Vincent Sora as well. Thomas Green, Jared Talmadge willing to muscle their way forward. And Ollie Fonseca, who I noted on some of the freshest tires of those around him, that 24, trying to utilize the advantage to go on the outside and move. But this grouping of drivers almost a threat to wreck as they take a big whoa and hold up. But back up front, we might still have to go back to, because Ethan Smith, he pulled out to a lead, but that lead is gone. He's been caught by the likes of Kanata, as well as Dangler, as well as Snowball. They are all putting the pressure in the 20 machine of Jesse Thornock, who went around. He's now in the mixture here. He's a lap down, but fighting with our leader.
And that's the battle for the lucky dog, is Stovall and Thornock. So they're both on fresh tires. They're battling for the lucky dog if we get a yellow. So that's going to be intense here with having the leaders right in front of them. And we know Stovall, he's going to send it.
Stovall is wanting to unlap himself the hard way. But what will Ethan Smith want to do? Do you just let the 20 go on by, or just say, okay, I'm going to fight for the clean air? Because it looks like that's exactly what the 00 wants to do. Keep the clean air, keep Stovall as well as Thornock behind, and now it's Joshua Kanata. Fresh tires, lucky dog position, and he spun out, and oh no, it was late blocked by the 20 machine as Stovall was trying to get underneath Thornock, almost contact, but the two drivers racing for the lucky dog spot.
Oh, that was so close between the two. Thornock, another block here going down to the 3. This could get a little bit dicey here, Sam, and I tell you what, the leaders are saying, we don't want to be a part of this.
You guys are having your own race. Don't throw away a chance for these lead lap drivers having some of their best runs of the season. Just because you're having a squabble and who wants the lucky dog spot. Thornock willing to block. Stovall was willing to block in the past. And it looks like they're willing to put all this racing action on the line as Ethan Smith, Joshua Kanata, try to just tag along with Tyler Dangler to pull away from the rest of the crew as Thornock gets stuck on the inside. And this top group, not drivers we usually talk about for a win this season, they are in a prime position to try to pull away. But the problem is, they are being caught. Nick Crawford, Danny Cochran, John Forbes, they're back. They're trying to work together as one to catch up to this grouping ahead that have been racing so crazily around one another.
Oh, and Thornock again loose off the nose of the 42. And it was close between those two as now he straightens it out. But the 42 going to look to go around the outside to get that lucky dog positioning. But man, that battle between those two has not definitely been one to watch for.
And now it's Joshua Kanata leading this race, having Ethan Smith fall into second. Tyler Dangler was a part of that crew that pulled away. Ollie Fonseca, Nick Crawford decided to stay out late. And now the gutsy strategy call all the way back around that lap 40 marker is helping this Barbie machine to be up to second place. It's Kanata, Dangler. They're going to be the two to watch out for. Dangler getting topped off on fuel. He can go a little bit further than everyone else. I think you might try to go with a similar strategy as our top 3 continue to try to pull away as that challenge of lap cars. Stovall and Thornock, they still are going back and forth with Freed as well as Ollie Fonseca stuck behind them.
Man, this battling has been amazing to watch. And I tell you what storylines could come from all these drivers that are up front having some of their best runs, and these two, of course, not giving it up for that lucky dog position. But if the likes of Dingler, a Kanata, a Smith tonight, or if Joshua Freed go out there and get their victory, it would be such a wild moment, I think, for everybody.
As the battling continues back and forth for the lap cars, Stovall, Thornock, Joshua Freed, he also had his mistake earlier on, caught up in the mess in 4th position. Ollie Fonseca, Nick Crawford, they've been able to catch back up to this top group. So all these drivers attached in the draft are top 12 in the mixture of a chance of a great run. The drivers that are outside of our top 12, Presley Sora, 13, Vincent Sora, 15. Those nights got to be so frustrated with how fast they looked and how their race just went upside down in the second half of this run.
Oh, no doubt. I think a lot of them are going to be upset for that. And, I look at even like a Vincent Sora, his nose on his truck destroyed, and that is really just equating to him having no speed. So he's back in 15th. He's just going to really have to meander around and just hope for something, caution to come out to allow him to get that truck fixed up if he wants to have any shot to get back up here in the mix. But tell you what, I wouldn't count it out with the way these two are going.
I think if you're Mark Morales, you're like, thank you very much. I'll take a lucky dog spot with the way that we're seeing Stovall and Thornick. They're racing like they want to wreck at this point. I know Stovall just wants to get by this 20 machine, and Thornick is doing everything in his power to be that one driver if a caution comes out to get the lucky dog spot. But if these drivers, if a caution happens behind them and they make contact, it will be gifting that lucky dog spot to a different driver. So they have to be careful with this amount of side drafting, the closeness that they are. This is similar racing action that brought out our most recent caution of drivers side drafting this aggressively through the corner and netcode spinning drivers around.
All it takes is that one little bit of netcode, Sam, like you said, and it's going to be game over for one of these two. And if, you know, the thing is, if they do get an incident, the yellow comes out, and it's those two that are involved in it, like you said, Mark Morales, he's going to be the one with a smile on his face because he's going to be the lucky dog. Because if you're involved in the yellow at any point there, you will not be a part of that lucky dog, participators.
And for everyone that's watching right now, these drivers cannot make it to the end of this race. They do not have enough fuel. They will be about 15 to 20 laps shy from making it to the end of this race. So there is still a pit stop to be seen before this race is over. And Zach, like we've thrown out multiple times, the timing of when you go to pit road is going to be key, because we have already just saw the fact that if you pit early, you're at risk of a caution flag coming out that puts you in a terrible spot. Like we've seen everyone from 5th on back had to take the wave around, and now they're in a position where they are just banking on a caution, maybe to reset and get back to this race, or they're going to have to go with the risky approach of pitting early again under a green flag condition.
Yeah, it's so tough. We've seen what happens if you put a little bit early. You want to do that to try to get the advantage of the tires, but then you get bit by a yellow flag, and then you're like, man. After that, you kind of are just weighing your options, saying, I don't want that to happen again. So I think you're going to see a lot of these guys stretch it, even though they're not going to need to. I think they're going to just decide to do that just because of, the nature of what has happened here tonight. So we'll see how long they can go. I know last time they stretched it as far as they can also, but I think they'll be looking to do something similar here again.
This field continues to race on. Every driver hopes for a win, hopes that it's possible to get into victory lane, and for some, they've already gotten into victory lane. They would love to do it, though. That's not at a super speedway racetrack, and Joshua Kanata, one of those drivers that would love to get into victory lane for himself. He's done it before at Talladega, but he would love to get a win at a traditional oval track where we've seen Kanata be so quick. His rookie season was one of those drivers that we called a threat for a championship. We knew he was going to be there, makes it to the final stages, was in the hunt for a championship, and right now leads tonight's race, the 16, a dream of getting into victory lane. We've seen drivers get their first time wins here at Las Vegas, and Tyler Dangler, who runs in second, would love to be that driver as the battling for 5th. You see here on screen between Nick Crawford and Alex Sick it happen. But I mean, if you're Tyler Dangler, you're ahead of admin. You've been kind of the face of the admin team, and this 19 is still looking for that first win. It would be incredible if he was able to get it done here tonight.
It would be a storybook moment, Sam. That is for sure, because I mean, I even look at I believe too, even looking at the stats, Tyler Dingler is tied all time for the most starts here. I think him and Cody Reed both have 122 starts here at ISRC. Reed, of course, has those 2 wins to go with him, but Tyler Dingler has 0. So he's looking to break 122 race, drought, like so to say. So this would be a huge moment for him, and I think a win everybody would love to see.
Absolutely. Would love and adore if it could come together. As these drivers continue to race on, we are inching closer and closer. We are technically, at this moment, inside of the pit window. You can make it from here if you decide to go into pit road. And one of those, you just named him, of the driver with the tied with the most starts, Cody Reed, first to hit pit road on this stop.
Reed getting aggressive with the strategy here, Sam. This is definitely right on the edge of making it to the end of this race. It's right below that. So definitely on the more aggressive side when it comes to making this pit call. But I'm not surprised from Reed. He was kind of lingering back farther in that group and was struggling with those older tires.
I want to take it back. Actually, a missed call. That is Brayton Lassiter, who actually was the first driver to pit. He pitted a lap earlier than Cody Reed. 31 is going for another gutsy call. He has been the first to pit for 2 of the green flag pit stops, as he will attempt to try to gain some of these positions back, because Cody Reed's getting back out on course. No one else looking to be showing signs that they want to go into pit road, but still leading the charge. Joshua Kanata, Tyler Dangler, Ethan Smith, with a 2-second gap over Joshua Freed, 2.5 seconds over Ali Fonseca, and a little bit over 2.5 seconds to Nick Crawford. Our top 3 in the catbird seat. They're in a similar situation that technically Ali Fonseca and Nick Crawford were in under the last green flag scenario we were just at.
Exactly right, Sam. Yeah, it's pretty much opposites now for these drivers, so this is definitely wild to see. Another thing I want to bring up is, we saw early in the race, Kanata, Cedric Hunter, they got into that incident there off of 4, the contact between those two that sent the 13 in the grass. They caused the 16 to lose a lot of time, and he had to run a lot of laps, like just all by himself, trying to, make as much speed as possible. Now he's out front making as much speed as possible. I wonder if that little bit of time just running by yourself kind of taught him, all right, this is the fastest way to go when you don't have draft, and he's definitely doing a great job right now as he's continuing to open that gap just a little bit at a time.
I mean, it's those lessons that you always learn, just like when you have drivers that get penalties, have to work their way through traffic. And as the race progresses, you get those moments that help you to go for race-winning passes late in the race. It's helping out Kanata now. Clean air, trying to pull away Tyler Dangler, Ethan Smith for second place, starting to get a little bit more racy as the 2 drivers racing for the Lucky Dog spot going to be Jesse Thornock, Joshua Stovall. It's still Thornock with that position. And Joshua Freed saw there just following that grouping on where they will go to hit pit road. Again, a lot of drivers had to go with a wave around to get back onto the lead lap. Some of those drivers have been out on track for this set of tires and fuel for 37 laps, 36 laps for themselves. Those are the drivers such as Jared Talmadge, John Forbes, Cedric Hunter, Thomas Green. They're going to be some of the first to hit pit road we're expecting. The question is, when do you make that decision? And one of those drivers that was a hunt for a win, Prestasora, has made his decision to go to pit road now.
Prestasora electing to come down, and he was in a tough spot too with a lot of damage from that incident where he had to take the wave around. So still trying to recover from that, but I think Prestasora going to be at least still hoping for some type of yellow, but last pit stop here under green flag conditions for the 12 tonight.
Making that pit stop, taking off. A quick stop for the 12 machine. Again, so damaged that it's just rough to see how this run will end. As you see the battle for second place, Tyler Dangler, Ethan Smith. I mean, it's one of those things where we want to hype up this moment, but we know the pit stops could change the dynamic of this race so quickly. You get caught speeding, you find yourself sliding through your box. Those are the small factors that could cost a win. And for Ethan Smith right now, put the pressure on Dangler, who Tyler Dangler has been patient. At sometimes a little too patient for my liking, but the 19 is still within striking distance to Kanata. The question is, when do you want to get a little bit faster? Because looks to be our top about 8 drivers all running almost identical times to one another.
That they are. It's very, very similar throughout the field. I mean, looking all the way back, even to like John Forbes, it's pretty much a 31.8. Everybody running. Like we see Ethan Smith was the quickest of everybody, but it's by 100ths of a second. So it is very, very small, minute details that are going to make the difference here. And I think the biggest thing is going to be the timing of when you come to pit road here, Sam. You got to get that time right.
You certainly do. As drivers up front, this is the closest battle inside of our top about 4. Battle for 5th. Starting to get a little bit racy. It's the Lyra Productions drivers that are on top of one another. That's Danny Cochran, Ollie Fonseca. As not on the same team, but having the same sponsor. And right now, Danny Cochran is moving forward. The 2, even on slightly older tires, has found the way to be patient and slowly getting by Nick Crawford and trying to set up to get by Ollie Fonseca, hoping to get by Joshua Free, but the 2 machine in a spot where he can only go for another about 8 more laps before pit stops will be calling.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, definitely running out of time, so to say. Also, got John Forbes kind of coming up to the back of this grouping here, too. So Forbes has done a good job to keep his tires in working condition because he's got the oldest of anybody in front of him. So John Forbes doing an excellent job once again. Look, Danny Cochran going to drop low here. I wonder if that means he's going to come to pit road here soon.
Well, some of his teammates did hit pit road already. Cedric Hunter made his stop, and here goes Danny Cochran into pit road for the 2 machine, as well as Ethan Smith ahead of them, going to be going into pit road. Ethan Smith had a little bit of a slower entry point, so he lost a lot of time to the 2 of Danny Cochran, who gained time. Other drivers, Thomas Green, Cedric Hunter, and Jared Talmadge pitted the lap before that, and they almost exited out of pit road 3 wide between those drivers. And this is the period of the race with drivers entering pit road. If you're Joshua Kanata, Tyler Dangler, you're in a tough spot. Do you react to Danny Cochran as Kanata's going to be going into pit road, or do you wait for the likes of Nick Crawford and Ollie Fonseca when they make their stops to finally go into pit road?
This is going to be a huge question. Joshua Free, John Forbes come down now. I think if you're Kanata, who is on pit road, I think I think that's an excellent call. Match what a lot of others are behind you are doing. You had a good gap. Tyler Dingler, though, I think he's got to come this time, Sam. I don't think he can wait too long because I don't think a 2 to 3 lap advantage on tires is going to be too big of a difference.
And Tyler Dangler showing signs he's staying out for another lap. Same for Nick Crawford and Ollie Fonseca. Some of these drivers, they're under the same Discord call, so they're able to communicate instantly with one another. And the Snowy Desert Racing crew, that's Nick Crawford, John Forbes, Cody Reed, allianced with them, just hanging out in their chat. Is this 19 of Tyler Dangler? So Dangler is hearing the decisions by Nick Crawford and as well by Cody Reed. He might be reacting to whenever Crawford decides to go into pit road. That's also when he'll enter as well.
Could very well possibly be the case as he continues on for another lap. Remember, like
trouble behind! It's Ollie Fonseca and Cody Reed get into one another. Somehow the 24 keeps it off the wall, but for 3rd place, Ollie Fonseca almost saw his whole entire night done, and a caution that could have changed everything again.
Man, oh man, yeah, Reed there getting in the back of him off the exit of the corner, and I went back and looked at that too, Sam. I don't know how this 24 saved that thing. That was about as sideways and as going as it possibly could be off the exit of 4.
You're going to see the closing rate off of the exit of turn 4. This 24 kind of all on his own. And then the 25 of Cody Reed, who had already pitted, he's running about a 1.5 seconds faster than this 24. And it's going to be coming off the exit of the corner. Cody Reed closing, tries to move up, clips the 24, and it should not have been a save, but Ollie Fonseca put that on one of the best saves of the season. Congratulations on Ollie on saving it, but he lost a lot of time because of that slide and now is into pit road.
Definitely a loss, a huge loss of time. And it was like Dingler again continue on. Same for Nick Crawford. He's going to continue on. Vincent Soares still out there. Fonseca on pit road. Reed the first to have pit to be up in 4th. But it's going to be Ethan Smith, Danny Cochran, Joshua Kanata. That's the grouping I think we're going to need to watch because also John Forbes right in the mix with them. Forbes might have pulled the master class here, Sam. I think he's going to be within drafting range of Kanata and on the same set of tires where he was 3.5 seconds behind him.
We talked about aggression, right, on being aggressive into pit road. Talked about how we saw that for Ethan Smith and for Danny Cochran, how much of a gain Danny had on the 00. They are right on top of one another, and whoever was willing to be aggressive, be as quick as they can on entry, were gaining over 1 second or 2 on the drivers ahead of them. If they were being a little bit too patient, I think that's exactly what happened to the 00 and the 16. They were too patient on pit entry, and they have given new life to the likes of Danny Cochran, Forbes, Talmadge. This grouping of drivers, they might see a little bit of deja vu with the way they're running with one another, but this is what the fight for the lead potentially could be unless a caution flag comes out and it puts Tyler Dangler, Nick Crawford back into the leader position.
I just went back and looked at it too, Sam. John Forbes about 1.7 seconds faster onto pit road than the likes of the 16 or the 00. That is where the gap evaporated. That is where John Forbes is going to have an opportunity to win this race when it's all said and done. So the 11 again showing why he's a 2-time defending champion, but it is chaos right here because it is traffic galore.
It is traffic, it's slower drivers, and we might go 4 wide for a quick moment as it's going to be Joshua Kanata trying to find a way to block 3 different groups if possible. It's going to be Jesse Dornick on the outside, Stovall and Crawford. Old Tires watching the pack that they once were wanting to stay ahead of, get by them and move forward quickly. Danny Cochran as well as John Forbes bump drafting their way forward. Almost 3 trucks bump drafting at once with the likes of Ethan Smith there in 6th place. And they are all trying to figure out how to get by the 16 of Joshua Kanata. Does Kanata have the blocking ability right now to hold back this group, or will a caution help the Snowy Desert Racing drivers of Dangler, Crawford, and Cody Reed? Tyler Dangler, though, sounds like over the radio, he's planning on going into pit road with this group right on his tailpipes.
It's going to be interesting here, this group, and like you said, right here, he's going to slow down right in the racing line. Everybody gives him room, and Dangler going to come nicely into pit road from that lead spot. We'll see where he's going to come out. We'll see if it was too long, Sam, or will the tire advantage work to his favor.
And Cody Reed, one of the first drivers again going to pit road with Brayton Lassiter. He's done a great job of staying ahead, but Cody needs a caution now if he wants to keep this position, because Kanata and others are right there and about to be making this pass. And Cody Reed is frustrated over the radio with Michael Miller because he lost all the momentum that was going to allow the 25 to have at least another corner to find himself to stay ahead of these drivers.
It was definitely tough there as the momentum was lost, and now he's going to be swarmed by fresh tires all around him. As look, it's stacking up though. This is what Kanata wants to see. He loves this in his mirror. They're going to stack up 3 wide as Ethan Smith goes to the inside. Looks like Danny Cochran going to shove himself down there. Same for the 11 of John Forbes.
Oh, contact! He slides! He'll go free! Gets slammed by Crawford! Miller goes through! Caution is out as Nick Crawford keeps the lead!
Oh man. Hard racing comes to contact, and it stacks up things, and once again, a wreck coming off of 4, Sam. And this here is throwing things sideways, because guess what? Crawford's out front with the lead. The biggest thing, though, is everybody did unlap themselves. No wave rounds needed.
But does Crawford have the fuel to get to pit road? I think that's going to be another question for himself. Here's the incident that happened as Joshua Freed checking up because of seeing Cody Reed spinning out ahead of him off the exit of turn 4. The 13, just no way to slow down in time. And this was that cluster of drivers trying to get by and just nowhere to go. And there's the contact. What's crazy is Cody Reed was going to save that. It's just that contact with Hunter and Freed ultimately brings out the yellow.
That it does there, Sam, as Hunter's going to get back going. And now it's going to be interesting to see, what do these drivers implore? Do they have an extra set of tires? I think Kanata does not, because we've seen Joshua Kanata, he's out on the racing surface. So as we still looking at how this all worked out with the contact between them, it is shaking up with pit strategy right here.
Some stay out, some hit pit road, and Joshua Kanata with the gutsiest of calls, willing to stay out on 12-lap older tires than anyone else. As the field able to get service and will take off and go. For us, this will be our one and only commercial break of the evening. It has been great racing action, but it is going to be a less than 20-lap dash. If you thought it's been crazy so far, it's only going to get maddening and crazier from here. I want to say thank you to everyone that's joined with us so far. You're watching the ISRC Larry R Productions Truck Series Race for the Chase here at Las Vegas. We'll be back right after this to give you the conclusion of tonight's Las Vegas 225. Welcome back. This simple. Joshua Kanata, no more tires. He's stuck with 12 lap older tires than the rest of the field. Everyone else, 4 tires in fuel, and it is a dash. 17 laps. Who's gonna win it? Kanata already blocking the 2, and Danny Cochran wants to be a 3-time Las Vegas winner to the outside. Cochran's got space. Thomas Green, though, he'll duck down low. Huge block by the 16. And Zach, let the madness begin, because I don't think we're staying green to the end.
I don't think so either, Sam. This is going to get very chaotic. But the 16 of Kanata's holding on well. But the 18 of Green, he doesn't want to be patient. He wants to get to the point out front. 3 wide, 2 rows deep.
Old tire stuck in the middle. It's going to be the 2 of Danny Cochran, who finally solidifies in that top spot. Thomas Green, though, trying to get to the inside quarter panel. He is there, backs out, but it's Crawford who's now on the outside. Huge run for the 74. He'll give the bump to Green. Green utilizes the momentum to the inside, and all these drivers reacting quickly, inside, outside. Top 3 feel comfortable. It's the drivers battling for 5th, where John Forbes is losing ground, stuck in the middle, and he is just feeling trapped, and he's got to be worried on the fact that he's got Talmadge and Smith to the inside and outside, but lead position, Thomas Green back to the point.
Oh, and he was stuck behind the 16 of Kanata, who slides up in front of the 00. Now down the back straightaway here in the 3 and 4. If you're the 11 and 4, but you got to get out from behind the 16 here, who's been struggling on the older set of tires. He was actually doing a really good job to hang on. He's getting pushed by the 11.
Where did the 12 come from? Presley Sora is back in the top 10 as this group is catching back up to our top 3. Danny Cochran, Thomas Green, Nick Crawford. They need to pull away, but boom, punch gonna be for Forbes to the 16 of Kanata. Almost 4 wide as they're gonna be 3 wide, 4 wide. Hold on tight as we go down into turn number 3. Lap car gonna be down low, Stovall. Gonna be John Forbes, Kanata, as well as Ethan Smith. Smith has to back out, losing time and ground. Kanata, the pinball, continues the point straight, and I don't know how there hasn't been a wreck just yet.
This is wild, folks. Is now Reed. He's going to take an opportunity, a chance all over the back bumper of Kanata, who, I mean, he is literally just doing his best to hang on to this thing with these drivers pretty much running him over through the corner. Kanata just trying to hang on for anything for dear life.
And as the 16 and 00 are fading backwards, it is now a true dogfight for the lead position. Contact going to be made. The 2 of Danny Cochran, Thomas Green, and they're going to be bouncing both ways. It's going to be Nick Crawford through the middle. Almost contact with the 2 as they exit down of the tri-oval, down into turn number 1. Still 3 wide, and in 5th position, you thought maybe he was down and out. Presley Sora is in the mix. Zach the 12 is not giving up on the championship fight, nor is Nick Crawford. But if they're both going to fight for a championship, only one can win to close in on the gap the 11 of John Forbes has. Forbes, though, has got to be worried because up front they're getting so close to one another. The 11 can get caught up in this mess if he's not careful.
The 2 and 18 make contact there, and there was a little bit of net code. We've seen already the 12 and the 11 make net code contact that takes the 12 out, and he's done a great job to recover from that. We don't want to see that anymore, but the racing's been so close. Talmadge ducking out here, trying to get the big side draft to drop back into line. The 12 Will presence or the charge back up here has been immaculate. If he wins this tonight, it would be quite the statement.
And Brown crew, that 42 looks quick. The only problem, he's still 1 lap down. Stovall right in the mix of the drivers that are just outside of our top 5. Thomas Green putting the pressure on Danny Cochran, but it's Nick Crawford, the wizard, the strategy. The 74 always finds a way, and he is now leading this race, trying to win Las Vegas for another time to make his stamp that he's still fighting for a championship, while Danny Cochran, he wants to get one last win. He wants to be a winner this season. He doesn't want to go winless, and the 2, all the pressure for this lead position.
Past champions battling for the win. What more can we ask for? And especially coming down to a chase battle like we've had here this season, as Crawford needs this win. Cochran needs it just for himself, just to make sure that he goes out the way he wants to be. And right now, the race has been immaculate as these 2 side drafting each other through the center of the corner. There's going to be contact. And
oh no! Danny flips! He's on his side, he's on the roof! The 2 goes around, Nick Crawford involved, and it's Presley Sora and Thomas Green up front trying to avoid the wreck. But Cochran, went for a ride, and somehow the 2 still has a motor.
Oh man, that is so unfortunate. Danny having such a great run there, and those two just kind of just come together on the exit of 4. And this is a tough one because, you know, if you're Crawford here, he's doing everything in his power not letting this 2 clear here. He's going to put it right on the door of the 2 here, and he's going to keep it right there. You know, he's not really going to make a maneuver down low. The 2's just going to have a little bit of tightness here off the exit. Your truck's going to naturally want to go up the racetrack. And unfortunately, it just seems like they kind of come together and they get stuck for a moment there, Sam. And that's what just kind of rips the 2 across the racetrack and puts them on his door.
I believe Stovall able to stay away from that wreck, so the 42 might be getting the lucky dog spot. And a huge worry for some further on back. Zach with praising Presley Sora and his march forward. Vincent Sora, Cedric Hunter, they both still have a set of tires left. This race might not be fully over just yet, but you see there the tumble by the 2. They're right on board. What a ride for Danny Cochran. He was given required damage, so he's going to have to go into pit road, get some type of damage repaired for himself. That is such a frustrating moment for the 2 that look so well. Here's the on board for the 74, Nick Crawford, and his point of view of this incident, and the fact that they're just hard racing. This is what we've seen all night long, and it's the random just neck code contact that just ruins a race for some drivers.
That it does. It's so tough to see. And yeah, it's Cedric Hunter, Vince Sora, like you said, on pit road too. That's definitely huge for both of those drivers too, because this could very well set up something very, very interesting with them being on fresher tires. I will say Vincent, he needs to get a lot of damage repair, so I think he's going to be sitting on pit road for a while trying to get that truck fixed. Please, Cedric Hunter, I don't even know, it doesn't look he's even in the truck right now, so I'm definitely interested to see what's going to happen there.
How they're going to be able to get back into this fight. Joshua Stovall again, he's back on the lead lap as he was running just as quick as those drivers inside of our top 7 at that moment of caution. And with the caution, Nick Crawford, he skates away from required damage, but there was a lot of body contact. I'm looking at the 74 though right now. I think he might have lucked out with the netcode contacts that were made. There's sometimes moments where it says you made contact, it would give one driver damage, the other one doesn't get any damage. And I think Crawford might have scathed away with no damage. So this is going to reunite some of these drivers for a chance to go after this 74.
I am not surprised to see that. With the way the contact looks, it does look like one of those netcode hits almost where, like you said, you kind of just get lucky and get away with nothing. And Crawford's going to be saying, well, once again, my lucky day here, because Las Vegas has just seemed to play out this way. And I mean, the hometown boy is looking to take home another victory here. And that's going to be a huge one for him, but he's going to have his hands and his work cut out for him, because not only does he have Presley Sora back up here, who's done an excellent job to get back in position, but Talmadge, Green, 2 teammates are going to work very, very well together. You also got John Forbes there in 5th. Don't ever count that guy out. And then, of course, you got Ethan Smith there, who's racing for something bigger here tonight. You never know what could happen when stuff like that's going on. So this is going to be wild.
And who would say? I know everyone was going full bore and trying to get up front as quickly as they can, but who is left? We do have 2 drivers that have had to exit out of this race. Danny Cochran manually disconnects, just too much damage for the 2 to continue on. Cedric Hunter having to drop a packet loss. He was kicked out of the server because of that once entering pit road. And as well, Christopher Norris, who called it a night at our stage break. Up front, Nick Crawford, Presley Sora, Thomas Green, Jared Talmadge. Those top 4, interesting because Nick Crawford, Presley Sora, they're racing for the championship. Thomas Green, he's technically in the chase, but he's kind of out of reach for the championship. But he's got his teammate Jared Talmadge. They could try to work as one to make these passes work. John Forbes, Ethan Smith, Cody Reed, Jesse Thornock. I mean, the 20 machine's still in the fight. He's been involved in a couple of different incidences. He's inside of the top 10. Tyler Dangler, who's had his moments. Joshua Kanata, still, even though we know those tires are not feeling well, he's still in 10th position. This restart's going to be a madhouse, but Zach, it's going to be 4 laps to go when we go green. Do you feel like there is a position where you're like, okay, if you're in this spot, you've got a chance to fight, and you got another spot where you're kind of just racing for the best finish you can find?
I think if you're outside that top 5, I think you're racing for a win. I think if you're outside there, you're going to need definitely some help. So we'll see how it shakes out. But I mean, anything is possible. But I think you need to be in that top 5 if you want to have an opportunity here this late.
We'll see if it's someone inside the top 5, or do we need overtime? We've been to overtime 2 times in the past year at Las Vegas. We'll see if it needs to happen for a third in its 6th attempt at this track, as the Las Vegas 225 is back underway. Nick Crawford, Presley Sora, take us to the green. It is 4 laps to go on who's winning this race. So much on the line for the 74 and the 12. They have to finish in front of John Forbes, but a win could put you right back into a fight for this championship, and that's what's so critical for both the 12 and the 74. Thomas Green, who would love just to get a win, and that's why he's making the big moves. Big push down into turn number 3. On the quarter panel, though, is Thomas Green on Nick Crawford. They're doing everything that you don't want to see. Crawford gets spun. Crawford gets spun into the grass. Cody Reed into the grass. They're scattering all around. The 74's going back up on the track. Oh, goodness gracious. Reed's flipping. Miller involved. We're going to overtime. And Crawford's championship might have gone up in that one tap.
Oh man, big blocks from the 74. He covers off the inside, and the 18, I think, just felt like he was going to get there. It just kind of kept forcing the issue. Got to that left rear right here in the center of the corner, and as soon as I saw him up the racetrack a little bit, him right there, the stack up happens right off the exit, and then from there it's just chaos. As the 74 to 18, I mean, that's a head first hit for him, destroying his truck. And right here, the 74 just going for a ride in the grass, trying to, somewhat keep it together, but he's going to go right back up into this mix. And you see Freed here, nowhere to go for him.
And there's the ride along, the utter madness of going, tumbling, seeing the sky, the ground. That is nowhere that you want to be for this 39. Who had a rough night. Michael Miller also involved in this incident. And the driver that's now leading this race is Presley Sora in the 12. Oh, I mean, at one moment, thought maybe his race was completely over and there was no chance. Instead, we are right back with having a chance to see a Sora brother win this race.
That we are. It just shows you again. I feel like Las Vegas said we could say this over and over and over and over again. But this place is so unpredictable here. It always seems to come down to something crazy, and don't count it out yet. I mean, right now, John Forbes, he's got back up the 3rd. If he goes out here and gets the win tonight, that'd be a slam dunk in the championship.
It would be a slam dunk in the championship. It would be breaking the trend of there never being a pole sitter to win this race. So that was already a bad omen that was put on the 11 to start the night off. So, and it's just John Forbes breaking trends each and every season, especially these last two seasons. He has been an absolute monster on the track. As now officially another driver calling it an evening, going to be Joshua Freed in the 39. And we will be left with 15 drivers on the lead lap. Presley Sora, who last time he went into pit road, was sitting in pit road for over a minute. He had over a minute of repairs that he had to get done. And this 12 is now leading this race, and he was making a charge to get up front.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely making a charge to get up front, and I think we're going to see a lot of charges. And like, even the fresh tires for a few of these guys could make them a difference. So, it's going to be wild. I think the biggest thing that I want to see here, Sam, the thing I'm questioning the most is what lane is Presley Sora going to pick here. Does he elect to take the top side and kind of control the race from up there, or does he want to start down below and have the possibility of letting John Forbes get clear of that second row?
Where do you set yourself up for this next restart? So this field is in a weird spot on how they want to go forward, as we will get ready for this restart for ourselves. I gotta say though, Zach, this is gonna be a fun one. I think we're gonna try to push the camera back to live footage, as the field is still waiting for the lights to get clicked off. But I mean, Zach, this race, so much on the line for some of these drivers, such as Presley, Vincent Sora, and Nick Crawford, because of how much of a gain was made last week with Vincent Sora winning the stage, winning the race, and being back 33 points to then being within 13. I think it put a lot of hope in drivers' minds that if they had a good night tonight, they're back in the fight as well with 2 races left in this chase.
I kind of completely agree. You know, we all kind of left North Wilkesboro and we were like, man, the gap is so big. Like, how is he going to close that down? We have one race, and the driver that wins it, wins that race, gets those bonus points, and then the driver who's leading the points, we think, well, it's not going to be that big of a gain. He's top 3 anyways. Well, doesn't matter because that 10 bonus points is that big of a changer, so to say, in the whole landscape of this shape of this whole chase, how it plays out. So just because you can be 32 back, we've seen you can be right there within 13, and that driver that you're catching has a great race too. So it doesn't take much. It really is going to take wins, and if you're Presley Sora, this is your gateway back into the championship.
I meant to do this earlier in the race. I'm curious if we can do it now, of shouting out our charity event that we have coming up. I know we've got a lot of people out there excited for how this race is going to conclude. For those that did not know, here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, we're about to have our 3rd annual Freaky Fast Broadcasting our 4th, annual Freaky Fast 6 Hour of Daytona, the fight for diabetes, as we are going to be partnering up once again with a great cause, formerly known as JDRF. They have now transitioned over to Breakthrough Type 1D, and it is a group, it's a charity event race that is going to be a blast. You do not want to miss it. But if you're a driver out there that would love to be a part of an endurance race that we've done in the past, well, you want to go sign up now. Go look at our social medias where you can go sign up, or if you'd like, just donate now to help the cause. As the field's about to get ready, I want to say thank you again to everyone that's been with us this evening. It has been a wild night of ups and downs. We thought we had our dominators to watch out for, caught up in wrecks, but here tonight we are into overtime. It is going to be 1 of 3 attempts if needed. If we stay green to this white flag, we will race it out. If we get a caution on this first lap, we're going to overtime attempt number 2. Here we go. Let the chaos reign again. The Las Vegas 225 is back underway. Presley Sora with a great launch. It's going to be Jared Talmadge. John Forbes going to be side by side for 2nd place. Here we go, Zach, down into turn number 1.
And it was a great start for Sora, but even better for the 11. He clears the 61, and it's game on here off of 2. The run's going to be coming from behind. You gotta block it if you're the 12.
You gotta block every run that's coming behind you, and it's gonna be the 11 of John Ford bouncing to the outside. He's gonna have the outside quarter panel trying to set up with the momentum off the exit of the corner. Again, we're looking for the white flag as they come off a turn number 4. White flag in hand for the flag man. We will stay green. This was our final and only attempt that we needed. This race is official. This is it. Down into turn number 1.
Presley Sora there, importantly, clear of the 11, but here it comes, the 11 with the big run to the quarter panel, down the back straightaway. This 61 looking to push the 12, but it's going to be 3 wide now as Talmadge going for the win himself.
Jared Talmadge going to be forced at 3 wide, but watch out for Ethan Smith also. He's going to be trying to watch behind him right for the 61. Gets up to the 00. So they're side by side slamming for the lead to the line. It's going to be too close to call. I believe it might be John Forbes, but it's going to be by 0.02 of a second. Forbes takes the win.
Forbes is going to win it, and Joshua Stoffel is going to be over 3rd after somehow getting back on the lead lap there. It's a story. He gets a top 5 as we look back at how it all shook out. 3 wide there is look at the net code for Talmadge. Unfortunately, sends him around, but from there, they're beating off each other, trying to get to the start-finish line.
Presley Sora championship hopes to stay alive, but it goes to the 2-time champ going for a 3-peat. Takes the victory, takes the bonus points, and what once was maybe a chance to stop him going for the 3-peat might have been the nail in the coffin if you can't stop the 11 for these next 2 races. John Forbes, another win to put in his catalog, his 6th of the season. And again, here's the finish. 3 wide. Jared Talmadge goes low. There's the net code tap, also close to the apron, but there's the net code. Then it's just chaos behind him. Stovall sneaking his way through to get 3rd, but it's the door banging that allows the 11 and the momentum carried that will take this victory. Zach, I mean, one of the best finishes you could ask for the season. And as John Forbes once again beating the trends and continuing to show why he's one of the best drivers in this series.
I mean, man, oh man, he just seems to find his way always back to victory lane, and I think a third championship in a row is definitely calling for that man.
Absolutely. Well, for the 11 of John Forbes, he's already done his burnouts. He's going to go to the waiting room. We will be back here shortly to talk to our top three. John Forbes, Presley Sora, Joshua Stovall, and a spotlight driver. We'll be back right after this for the post-race show of the Las Vegas 225. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the post-race show of tonight's run of the Las Vegas 225 for the ISRC Larry R Productions Truck Series. We're going to talk to our top three spotlight driver tonight. Will be the 00 of Ethan Smith. So if you're one of those Ethan Smith fans, wait until we're done talking to the top three, and we will be talking to that 00. But first, we're going to head to Victory Lane to talk to the driver that probably, I mean, I think everyone did, but we've got John Forbes with us with one of the wilder finishes we could ask for this season. John, congratulations. You just continue to break trends that we've seen in this series before. You are the first driver that has found himself getting the pole and winning here at Las Vegas, and also continue on your winning ways. This is your 6th of the season, solidifying as the most winningest driver in this series. I mean, you're taking every accolade possible. How are you feeling coming away with tonight's win at Las Vegas?
Yeah, I mean, this was another one I came into kind of like Talladega, just like, okay, I just have to finish the race, have to get stage points. I mean, just getting stage points is just great to get. Even if you get like wrecked later in the race, at least, I mean, like I had those 10 points, and was many times in that race when I thought, oh, this might be it. I got to avoid something, or something was going crazy in front of me. And then with all the cautions at the end, each one was just so nerve wracking. And like each one, like 2 guys in front of me would wreck out. There would be a couple more spots, and then sitting third on that last restart, I was in just a fantastic spot. I mean, I think a few cautions ago I was 8th, and I went to 6th, and yeah, we got to 3rd by that last one. Got a decent run. Jarrett, I mean, it's just hard to launch on the outside, so I got clear of him. And then I was hoping Jarrett was going to go with me when I got side by side with Presley, and then he started pushing Presley. I'm like, oh no, I'm falling back. This isn't good. And then of course Jarrett wants to win this race, so he goes bottom 3 into 4 or into turn 3. I was like, I just got to run it high, hopefully get the run off. It was weird. Like sometimes you would go to the top and you would just get no run off and you would just lose all your speed. So I tried not to go too high, just kind of keep it rolling through the middle. And then I saw Jarrett spinning in the mirror, and I was like, oh, he's going to overcorrect. It's going to get Presley into me and we're all going to wreck. But luckily he hung on to it to keep it out of the way of us, and then just let it go behind him, and everything unfolded from there. But then it was just a great finish with Presley there to the line. Had the run off the outside, got the speed, and yeah, we were able to take another win at a track. I mean, I was just hoping to have a solid, decent finish at.
Definitely a good night for yourself once again. The points, John, just continuing to grow that gap. And how tough was tonight's race though? It felt like always with the strategy, at least you're always on the back foot on tires. So you kind of were mired back into that, later positions of the top 10, kind of just having to ride there. So take us through how tough that was, because I'm sure that was a little bit frustrating to have to deal with try to get back on people with fresher tires than you.
Yeah, it definitely it's not what you want when you like pit and then a caution comes out and then guys that just pit, they don't have to pit, so then you're stuck behind them too, just because they had the better track position by the time when they came in. But then from there, I mean, I talked to you guys at the stage and I felt really good about my long run pace. And I was hoping it was just going to continue throughout the race, which it did, but like you said, I was always on the back foot with the tires, so obviously I'd have to tone it down a little bit and not overheat them, because they were already hotter than the guys in front of me, so I'd have to cool them off a little bit, just take my paces, and then later in the run, they would just really come to life. I mean, some of those green flag runs were just really fun tonight, and I wish they could have continued throughout the whole night. But then we of course got the classic ISRC just crash fest at the end. So yeah, just to make it out of that, get through and just have a really fun race. Honestly, I loved that it was a little bit longer than actually longer than the scheduled distance, and then longer than the planned distance. So that was fun. I think we should look into doing that more. I think it helped the racing stay a little bit cleaner. People even like me, I was just like behind Vinny and some other guys earlier in the race, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to sit and kind of ride it out. And it wasn't like, oh, I got to push the entire race because there's just not enough laps. So having 165 to work with tonight, it was really fun.
I mean, looking at the ways that these drivers race, John, it was one of those things where it just looked like it was so even with everyone around one another. You were also around so much of the carnage that happened at times with the front runners. What was it like seeing the calamity just happen around you throughout the night and trying to survive those moments?
Yeah, I mean, just all you can do is rely on like your straight up reaction time on some of these things. Like I would be coming out of 4, and like the one with Danny happened, and then the one with Nick on the next restart. Like you see a little smoke, you see sparks. Like smoke's like, okay, I mean, they could just be loose, but when you see sparks too, you're like, oh no, like something's going on. I started seeing that in front of me because I was right on the bumper of a lot of guys tonight, come out of the corners, and then you're just like, okay, I hope this guy's gonna make it through in front of me. They'll start to check up, I check up, and then from there it's just you hope there's a truck not like sitting in your way. And we got pretty lucky. The one with Nick was kind of close. I just had to check it up, go to the right, and get around him. But just being in the right place, right time, that goes a long way. Just the netco was crazy tonight too. We figured that out in practice. You just get somewhat near them. It's like a lot of tracks you can really get on their door, and you're not going to be at too much risk. But something about Vegas, the trucks just like to dance around, and I don't know if it's a tightness or something. They just hook together and you can't get off. But the netco tonight was just absolutely terrible. I haven't had a chance to look at the one with Presley and Vinny earlier in the race, but I felt like I gave Presley like plenty of room, knowing that like it could have netcoded, and it still did for some reason. I mean, it's just something iRacing they're always trying to improve on, but it's just kind of the nature of the beast. It sucks that happened, unfolded, but Vinny was able to bounce back pretty good, and yeah, Presley, it was just all of us all night, so it was a fun one.
It was a fun one for us to call as well. Well, John, before we officially let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, I just gotta thank JDF Performance being on board, eFlex Fuel, Justin Force Media making another great scheme tonight for Vegas, just rolling the dice all night, and you guys for putting on a great broadcast.
Well, that will be your winner here tonight for the Las Vegas 225, his 6th win of the season. John Forbes and the 11 machine. Enjoy this one, John, and good luck at Phoenix next week.
Thank you, guys.
As that will be your victor here tonight. We're going to move down to second place and talk to another driver that had a very much up and down evening. We have Presley Sora with us. Presley, I mean, the last time you were in pit road, you were sitting in there for over a minute. Did you think that you even had a vehicle that was fast enough to attempt to go for the win that you almost got here tonight?
Yeah, as soon as we got that caution, there were 20 or 25 laps to go. I knew that I would have a pretty good chance at it. I wasn't completely sure if I'd be able to get all the damage fixed, but I got it all fixed with like 2 or 3 seconds to spare. So once it was fixed, it was up to full song and it was ready to go. So made some good moves to get up towards the front and get in good position. Definitely a wild night as far as leading it early, and then that one crash middle of the race set me all the way back to like almost last car on the lead lap, and then back up to the front. So we were front to back to front, and just narrowly missed out on the victory there. But it was a good race overall.
Definitely a great recovery, Presley, man. Congrats on that. Definitely put on a show coming back through the field and right there to end for us with the battle with John. But take us through the moment, because you, like you said, you got involved in that incident and then you had to recover from there. I mean, how do you stay focused while riding with a truck that's hurt and just kind of limping around, just trying to get to a point before you can get it fixed?
Yeah, it wasn't any fun, I can promise you that. I want to be up there battling for the lead every chance I can get. So riding back there in 16th or 17th is not my mojo. But yeah, I did what I could to just get all the lap time I could out of it every lap, and kept on the lead lap, and then the caution just fell in a really good place for me. So, I mean, I actually literally unlapped myself, not even like, it was that same corner that the yellow came out. I mean, it was probably 3 seconds between me unlapping myself and the yellow coming out. So had I stayed on the lap down there, I wouldn't have even had a chance. So it fell at the perfect time, and it gave me every opportunity to get up there, and just almost sealed the deal there at the finish. But honestly, not really sure what more I could have done. I could have blocked John high off of 2, but I think Jarrett probably would have driven right around both of us had I done that. So I think my best move was to block low and let John get up to my outside. And in a perfect world, Jarrett wouldn't have gone low, and it would have just been me and John side by side in a corner, and I wouldn't have had to pinch my lane off quite as much. But Jarrett went low, and I mean, I don't fault him for doing it because that's his best chance at the win too. So if he'd have stayed behind me, I think I would have had a better chance. But like I said, I understand why he did it. Just yeah, I thought I'd get John coming to the line, especially with the way that the front stretch curves, but he just outmotored me coming to the finish. I mean, we were pretty even off of 4, and he just held on. So props to him. It was close, but yeah, fair game. Another John Forbes win.
It certainly is another one for himself. But Presley, we got 2 more races left. We're heading to Phoenix and Chicagoland to finish out the season. What is the confidence level like for these final 2 races of the season?
Well, I would say Chicagoland's probably one of my best tracks on the service, so I think I'll be really, really good there. Phoenix has always been pretty good for me, so I would expect to be up at the front for both of those and at least have contention for the win. I think championship-wise, I'm probably pretty much out of it because John's won like 80% of the races this season, especially in the playoffs. So I would say championship's pretty much wrapped up for John. I haven't seen the points yet, but I'm sure I'm not real close to him. So I'm probably, if I had to guess, probably 45 or 50 back, maybe 40, something like that. But yeah, I don't think championship's within reach, but we'll try to get everything we can and hopefully come away with 2nd or 3rd.
Well, it still has been a fantastic rookie campaign, Presley. It's been fun to watch. And before we let you go tonight, the floor is now yours for any other shout-outs.
Yeah, shout out to everybody in the league for putting on this good race. And the green flag runs were really, really nice tonight. And we've been really getting some good races here the last few weeks. The start of the season was kind of brutal with some frequent yellows, but we've really turned it around in the second half. So that's been fun. And shout out to John for running me clean up there and putting on a good show. And shout out to whoever brought that caution out with 25 laps to go. I appreciate him.
Well, that will be the 12 machine of Presley Sora coming away with the second place finish here tonight. Congratulations on that run and good luck next week at Phoenix.
Alrighty, thank you.
As we move from second place, we go down to third to a driver that's probably more elated than most. Felt like he was trapped one lap down for too long. Finally gets back on the lead lap and surges into third. We have Joshua Stovall with us, and the Brown crew is happy for you, Josh. Congratulations on third. How are you feeling? Because you, like most, we saw about 8 other drivers had a very much rocky race for themselves, but came away with a good finish.
Yeah, I actually have no idea how I even got that finish there at the end. I think we started off 11th on that last green white checkered, and was able to somehow get it up to third, and get through that carnage right there. It was crazy, but I'm happy we were able to get through it.
Definitely was a wild moment there, coming from 11th all the way up to the top 3. So congrats on that, Josh. Man, great to see you right up there in the mix. But you had to fight for the lead lap there for a lot tonight, getting trapped there a lap down. Take us through that, because it looked like a very tough battle.
I don't know. I couldn't have done anything worse. I wanted to fight as hard as I could, but I knew that if we got in a wreck, neither one of us are going to get the lucky dog right there. So I gave it all, but I think I burnt the tires up trying to run them as hard as I did on the outside. And then I honestly, we just hung out. I told him on that last green flag run that we had that we were just going to run it till we basically had no choice but to come in and pit. And if we were sputtering or whatnot, to hope for the caution. Caution came out, and we were able to sit here and somehow recover. I still have no idea how that all managed to happen, but I'm thankful for it. I love talking to you guys, so a top 3 is good with me.
And we're always happy to talk with you, Josh. It was awesome to watch, like you said, the ebbs and flows of how you got yourself to this position. We honestly don't know how some of the drivers got to the finish that they did, but we do know 2 things. We have 2 more races left in the season: Phoenix, Chicagoland. What's the confidence scale for yourself heading these final 2 races of the season?
I feel pretty confident. I think we should go out there and I think we'll be able to battle for at least another win before the season's over with. I felt like we could have battled there for one tonight if the carnage wouldn't happen. I know that I got in the back of Michael Miller right there. My spotter was eating some peas, so I don't think he was able to get it out in time, and I just annihilated him. So that happens, but yeah, we'll just go on to it and battle these guys as hard as I can, just like I did tonight.
Well, we're excited to see how that's going to work out for yourself. Josh, before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any other shout outs.
Yeah, shout out to everybody that tuned in tonight. Everybody that keeps on tuning in, please keep tuning in for us. And then shout out to the Brown crew. You know, those guys, a lot of those guys can't tune in anymore. It's peak season. I was lucky to even make the race tonight. So hopefully I'm able to make the next 2, but you know, Christmas is right around the corner, so.
Well, we're hoping to see you out there on track as well. Congratulations on third, and good luck next week at Phoenix, Josh.
All right, man, I appreciate it.
Well, that will be your third place finisher in the 42 machine of Joshua Stovall. As now we're going to be going to our spotlight driver, 7th place finisher of Ethan Smith, who tonight, I know, racing for more than just himself. Ethan, congratulations on a top 10 run. You were inside of the top 3 at moments, leading this race at a time. But man, how are you feeling after a fantastic performance that a lot of people didn't know where they were going to finish at the end of this race?
After coming back from last place, it felt pretty good just to be in the top 10. I got spun on lap 3, and I turned into a lawnmower for the majority of the first part of the race until the first caution. Had some damage, which didn't really help me throughout the race. I got it repaired, but there was still just some, just turned a little bit of a parachute. So I couldn't lead too well, but I can follow really well. So once I got in that top 5, I was just trying to stay there. I got shuffled back earlier, and that last caution actually really helped me pass some people last second. And unfortunately, I was going for that win, hoping the 3 in front would wreck each other, and I might be able to squeeze on by, but I got caught up in it.
It was definitely a wild one, Ethan, man. Congrats on a great run. It was good to see you up there battling for it there for a win. I mean, take us through your strategy, because that's definitely what put you in that great position. How did you keep up with that all night? Because it seemed like there was a lot of different ones going out there with the cautions and the timings of things.
Well, the cautions, I weren't really expecting too much from them. After starting in the back, I just wanted to save tires, see how well I was doing compared to everybody else. And even with the damage I had a little bit before the caution, I was actually matching times with the leader. And as they're the leader, they're probably usually pushing it. So I knew I could save tires. I just have to be in the right opportunity or in the right situation. And the cautions really just happened at my benefit. It usually, and I don't think I've ever said that, because anytime I've ever tried to do something based off cautions, it never worked. But today it did, and allowed me to be, starting last place all the way to 7th tonight.
It was awesome to watch. Ethan, we got 2 more races left in the season. Phoenix, Chicagoland. How are you feeling on the fact that we're going to those 2 racetracks to finish this thing out?
I really like both those racetracks. I really like Chicagoland because I really like ripping the high side along the wall. And that's one of the tracks that I've done that a lot in the past, and I really enjoy it. It is risky doing that though. One moment you're doing great, and the next moment you're sandwiched between a truck and the wall. So we'll have to see how that goes. But I'm excited for Phoenix and Chicagoland. I like both those tracks.
Well, Ethan, again, congratulations on a 7th place finish here tonight. It was awesome to see you up front periodically throughout this evening, and we hope that you're going to continue on with this great speed. Before we let you go, though, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
I just want to give my papa a thank you. He's watched every single race since season 1, and this is the first race without him, so it was a little different for me, a little bit difficult at certain times driving. So, and I thank you guys for saying what you did about him. And my grandma was watching tonight, and a lot of my family is actually watching tonight, and they thank you guys for what you guys done. And I also thank Danny Cochran for the scheme that he made me in honor of him. And I'm gonna have that on for the next 2 races to finish the season out, and I'm gonna do my best to bring a little momentum, move on into next season. And next season's where you're gonna see the old me coming back. I'm gonna be more aggressive. I'm gonna be not caught up in as many accidents, I hope. And you're gonna see me up there towards the front, maybe battling John for some wins.
Well, we cannot wait to see that happen. Ethan, congratulations on 7th. Enjoy this finish. Good luck next week at Phoenix. We cannot wait to see how the rest of the season unfolds for yourself, preparing for next season.
Thank you.
As we move from our interviews here tonight, it certainly was a crazy one. I know that this race, the finishing positions were so wild. If, like we said from the top of the broadcast, this race felt like a super speedway race on the fact that it just kept on flowing up and down. But we're going to take a look at our unofficial results here, as it is still, I'm trying to understand, Zach, the top 2 makes sense, but everything else really doesn't, as that's our qualifying results there. But I'm curious on, for John Force, Presley Sora, how they probably saw this race in their mirrors, because 3rd goes to Joshua Stovall. Wally Fonseca sneaks his way up to 4th. Vincent Sora, somehow with his wounded machine, comes away in 5th. Cody Reed 6th. 7th, Ethan Smith. Joshua Kanata on his old tires takes 8th. Tyler Dangler gets the top 10 for the 19 machine in 9th. And Jesse Thornock somehow coming away with 10th. It baffles my brain on how some of these finishes that we saw from these drivers.
I completely agree. It's crazy to say where some of these guys ended up after it's all said and done, and even some of the guys down here that farther low. I mean, you look at Danny Cochran, even back all the way to 20th. Like, he was in a possible chance to win this race. We're looking at him at one point. You had Nick Crawford, who's going to finish 12th. He was in a possible chance to win this race. Like, Las Vegas, here at ISRC, I don't know what it is, Sam. It's like something about this track. It brings something out in the drivers. It's the racing too, I think, a little bit, that the way it races here with the trucks, but it's always jam-packed racing, and you never know what's going to happen. You could have someone like a Presley Sora be destroyed and then come back out of nowhere and be right there. I mean, beating off each other, doors right to the finish. So I mean, it is amazing racing, and it's stuff that we always see here at this track. So not really surprised to see it, I think.
Absolutely not. I'm not surprised by it at all, but this really does put a hamper on the championship fight, with the fact of Crawford's finish back in that 12th place position. He is now going to be 51 points out from John Force. Presley Sora, he was hoping that he'd be only 40 points out. He is 56 points out from the championship. 5th on back, 5th to 13th. all, I believe, have been mathematically eliminated from a chance to even win the championship if John Forbes just starts the next 2 races, as Forbes, his only true competition is Vincent Sora. 29 points is the difference between first and second, which if we look at based off how Sonoma went down, Vincent Sora is going to have to win the stage, win the race, maximize it on all the bonus points for the next 2 races, and hope that John Forbes finishes 5th or worse. That's the type of racing that Vincent Sora needs in the rundown if he's going to get a championship and join John Forbes as a 2-time champion.
It's looking to be that way, Sam. It's definitely it's one of those things where I'm cautiously optimistic that we still have a good championship on the line here, but John he is one step away from really kind of closing the door for a lot of these guys. Vincent, we know the talent he has. He can go out there and win both these races, but like you said, it's going to take pretty much winning both races to really dethrone John. So we'll see how it plays out. The odds are against the rest of the field, but I tell you what, it's truck racing. Anything can happen. A caution flies at the wrong time. You could be going from winning a race to back in 15th, man. So racing is an ordeal that you'll never be sure what the outcome is.
Yeah, it's going to be a toss-up on what we can find as we take a look at our upcoming schedule. We got plenty of great racing action to be seen throughout this week, as we have all 3 series that we cover going to be racing this week, as we just finished up here for the ISRC Truck Series. We will be back next week for Phoenix to be the second to last race of the season and get one step closer to crowning our Season 7 champion. Then tomorrow night, we are back with the WSSR Cup Series, as they are going to be testing their skills at Atlanta. We got to see the new configuration to start the season off. Let's see what the next-gen vehicles can handle at the 2008 Atlanta configuration. It's going to be a lot of slipping and sliding, traditional mile-and-a-half racing that we cannot wait to see. And if you love tonight, the super speedway style racing action, well, we got you covered. Thursday, it's the Shoney's Doghouse Cup Series, as they have their 11th race of 14 rounds heading to Talladega Super Speedway, as they will be figuring out one step closer as well on who's the champion. It's between Brandon Six, Brandon Bowie. The teammates have been going back and forth on the win column. Will they be working together on Thursday? That's going to be a true question. Zach and I will be on the call for that one. Wednesday, it's Richard Wolsifer and myself. As we're coming up in the new year, we are back again announcing our 4th annual Freaky Fast 6 Hours at Daytona. And Zach, I know for myself, this one is going to be a lot more special than some of the other ones that we've done before. We've prepped even more for our 4th annual. We're going to be having a lot more of the audience, I think, engaging in this race than we've ever seen before.
Oh, no doubt. We had a great meeting just last night, folks, to iron all those details out. That will be coming out soon. We'll slowly be rolling that out throughout the month here to really see, who, can get those donation goals and see what, happens when we hit those goals. We got a lot of different things coming out. But again, like Sam said earlier, make sure you go out there, check out our social medias at, Freaky Fast Broadcasting. And also make sure you, if you can, go join our Discord. You can find all the links, the way to sign up for this race. Remember, it's a 6 hours of Daytona. It's on January 4th at 6 p.m. Eastern. And we're going to be doing 6 hours around Daytona with, the IMSA style racing like you would have for your 24 hours of Daytona, just like iRacing will do in a few weeks after that. So if you're looking for practice, if you're looking just for a good time to go out and have some good time and raise money for a good cause, I'm telling you, don't miss out on this. We've had some of the most amazing experiences. We've raised over $1,000 each and every time. This time we're trying to hit 2,000. So with all your help out there, everybody that's with us, we really would love to see everybody be a part of this. So it's a pleasure to put it all together. And I think when we really get to show the whole true scheme of everything, it's going to be really an amazing picture for everybody.
6 hours of Daytona, partnering up with formerly known as JDRF, for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. They've now changed names to Breakthrough T1D. So if you want to look at more information, remember, go to Breakthrough T1D, as it is a great organization that we're happy to be doing this fundraiser for, of trying to find ways to stop diabetes that children deal with as well as adults. Again, all signups, check out our social media. But for us here tonight, it was a crazy one, at Las Vegas, where up and down, it all came down to one driver who's been winning it the most this season. His 6th win goes to the 11 of John Forbes here tonight. But Zach, any final thoughts before we call it an evening here tonight?
Again, congrats on John Forbes, like you said, getting his 6th victory of the season. Can't wait to see how the season closes out. It's been great racing here the last few weeks. Very tense action, so to say. And I'm sure it's only going to ramp up a little bit more with 2 races to go. So thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you again. If you want to sign up for that race, make sure you go check out our stuff, because we'd love to have you not only as a participant watching the broadcast, but out there on the track too. So definitely a great time to be part of Freaky Fast Broadcasting.
Certainly is. For tonight, want to say thank you to all those that were watching with us for coverage of the ISRC Lariat Productions Truck Series. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, for our producer, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here that participates with Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for watching Monday night coverage of the Truck Series. Race 4 of the chase is in the books. Just 2 more races to figure out who will be crowned the Season 7 champion. Will it be John Forbes or Vincent Sora? The clash continues on heading into next week at Phoenix. But for us up at the booth, we will be back with more great racing action, as we will be finding ourselves tomorrow, going to be on a Wednesday night for the WSSR Cup Series, as they will be heading to have some great racing action for themselves. That will be our next Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We will see you then.